20,000. What's that? Man, I've seen a few of those.
Someone press the...
That's right, that keeps
we don't need to worry about it. Someone can press the clicker out in front there.
These flowers are growing really well under that light. What's going on? Oh, there you go.
Blocks your face. Get them in place. Yeah. I think we've started. Yeah.
Oh, the sound.
We're in.
It's got to go here.
We're away. Oh, you fucked it. You stuffed that again.
Oh, should we walk back out?
No, this is live.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Live action.
This one.
All right, here we are. I better concentrate here. This is the next podcast that I'm doing, and we have the JT's Cycles reunion crew, Travis Rich, Jamie Foale, Todd Flanderzz. Welcome to the podcast.
This is the older we get, the better it was podcast.
Oh, yeah.
At least we still got the memories, man. We haven't lost that yet.
Well, we just did lose one. I've got to get that back.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. Soul's going to get me on this one, I reckon.
Here we go. Who knows where this is going to go, but I think it could be fun. Start with my first question. Keep it simple. I might start across from you, Trev. We'll work our way around the table. If you could be an animal, what animal would you be and why?
I'd love to be a polar bear.
Ooh.
And I think the reason why I'd love to be a polar bear is that I can legally smash my head into the ice to hunt and kill people.
Oh, that's we're going that way
cheery.
already.
That's taking us to a dark spot already, mate.
Yeah, well, straight off. We're in.
Oh,
Anyway, I shouldn't comment about it. Anyway, Jamie, you have been here. You have the... This is
I'm
a
gonna come up
return
with a
visit
different
for you. Well, no, I thought yours was really good. Would you like to reconsider?
Well, last time it was a gecko just because they got the sickest grip in all conditions, which, like you know, in Adelaide in the summer, we need a bit of that for sure.
I thought that was good.
Yeah.
A gecko.
So you still with Gecko?
Oh, sure, yeah.
You're
gonna
still
run.
with Gecko? All right, cool. Flanderzz, if you could be
Me.
an animal, what would you be and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. Falling off my bike a lot of times, man. So something that can tuck and roll pretty well and bounce out of a bad situation. So,
Was that a wombat?
yeah, maybe.
Gorilla.
Might be. For sure, man. They're pretty tough.
What do you
cars.
reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon. I wouldn't know, man. Just a wombat, maybe? Yeah, we'll go with that one.
We're going with
Because
wombat.
he's tough, because, you know, if you come off your bike and you hit a tree, the wombats just bounce, right? So
Oh, you can hit him with a car. They're
can
tough.
roll with that. They're pretty mellow. They haven't got many stresses. It
Lucky
sounds
me
like
some- some big
it
riser bars for
reminds
that.
me.
And they don't collect dirt because it flies out the back.
Yeah, and live in a burrow. Just burrow myself in after a big bender, you know.
All right, there we go. Great start. Now, where do we go from here? I don't know.
More questions.
Who wants to start? Trav.
Off the bike. Where do I start? Oh, wow.
Start us
The JT's
with-
OG.
This is, yeah, we'll just get straight to JT's. We won't worry about how you grew up and everything like that. We'll get to that later, maybe.
Yeah.
JT Cycles days. When I met you, when you worked in Hindley Street,
Yeah.
JT Cycles had a little shop in Hindley Street. I
They
reckon that
did.
was 93 or 94 when I went shopping for a bike.
Yeah.
And there was this big guy in this shop, walked down there, come up to me and tried to sell me a bike. And that was you.
I never try to sell. Well, maybe I do a bit, but, you know, try to offer solutions. Yeah, I did. The funny thing was I moved over here from Melbourne, actually, in 89. And then my mum had a camera shop in Hindley Street. So then I used to hang out and loiter down at the bike shop a bit and think, you know, obviously bikes were cool and we all rode bikes as kids and just kept doing that. And then I got to befriend, obviously, the guys that worked in there and they obviously saw I could talk a fair bit. And then I started working in there. So that would have been 1990. It was.
1990. How
Yeah.
old were you in 1990?
I was 15. So I was just, I went actually straight into just selling stuff. I didn't even go at the back starting to pump up tyres and things like that. I was just, you know, talking to people about bike product and into them and selling. And I did have a mountain bike back then. And I actually used to race cross country with Adelaide Mountain Bike Club back then. And then I suppose it all led from there. And when we talk about the older racing days too, I suppose it was more, that was the Bell Downhill Series, which came to Australia, or came to South Australia, sorry, once. And we raced out at Kersbrook there. And it was sort of like, you know, cross country on a Saturday and downhill on the Sunday. So that was actually the first downhill race I did there. And I think that was 91. with the likes of Andrew Field and all those sorts of guys from the Adelaide Mountain Bike Club.
And they used to do little trials in the cross country or something as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they would do all sorts of things. I mean, it was funny. I was down in Derby in November, and I ran into Glenn Jacobs, who most people know, obviously World Trail, and had a good old catch up and a ride with him. And we're talking about the early days of racing in Cairns, and they used to have up trials racing, like where they at the bungee site there at AJ. We used to have like racing up a section of trials up the hill. And back then, even at the Australian mountain bike titles at Thredbo, they used to have hill climb races.
They did,
you
yeah.
know? So it was weird, all those sort of different sort of aspects of mountain biking that was involved with it back then to obviously where it is now, which is, predominantly obviously cross country, short track, and, of course, downhill as well.
You've seen it progress a long way then. You've been at, 91?
91 was from racing, yeah, and the industry, I suppose, from 90. So, yeah, quite a few years if we can work out where we're in 2025.
Perfect, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a while. And
A long
Nearly
time.
almost 40 years,
It's, it's been a while. And then seeing the way the industry has changed, the bikes have changed. And like I said, it was, predominantly even the early days of racing with Michael Ronning and Scott Sharples and Rob Eva and those guys, they used to hang out with a fair bit. They, it was like cross-country bikes with a little bit of a tweak or a different style of frame, a heavier-duty frame to race downhill with. You'd probably just about rip the bar ends off and off you went to go down at Mount Buller. That was the first race I did, and I think about 92. And that was sort of more or less racing down some of the fire road ski runs, which was pretty steep and loose, into a few switchbacks in the grass. Was sort of the downhill courses.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
And you're still loving it today? You haven't stopped? You never stopped?
No, still loving it. As I said, went to Derby with a few mates, celebrated a mate's 50th we had down there, and it was great running into Glen, for instance, and then came back and went up to Thredbo a few days after that just after the season opened up there. So, still love it. Probably not... Obviously, doing as many downhilling as much, but definitely trail riding and loving more flow trail riding than maybe going out there hammering Cannonball, for instance, at Thredbo. The body's a bit smashed to do that all the time.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Hey, I might set a little bit of groundwork here. When did we all meet each other? There you go.
Well,
I said I met you selling the bike, but I didn't really know you then. It took many years after that. When do you reckon?
I met Trav before I met Jamie. Met Jamie at JT's. Met Trav out at probably a nightclub at Le Rox or something like that. Was introduced to...
Okay, it didn't take long.
Like, I wasn't a mountain biker, right? I come from the snow, skateboarder, surfer, just dirtbag. I'd raced BMX as a kid, but I really wasn't into mountain biking until I met Trav, and he worked at JT's, and we just talked about shit. And then eventually he's like, "Oh, you should come do this mountain biking thing. You'd probably be all right at it."
That's
So
late 90s? Late 90s?
Yeah, like 93, like
mid-
94.
early.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I probably got my first mountain bike in 96 or something and did a year. I did my first race at Buller with Trav
Yeah.
and then sold it all up and went overseas to Canada and stayed there for till 98. And before I knew Jamie, this prick was in Canada at the same time. He was in Canmore and I was in Lake Louise, right? But we didn't know each other yet. He was doing his thing. And then I came back from Canada in 98 and Trav came back, or I don't know how it worked. And Trav goes, "You want to come work at the bike shop? We've got this new, we're out of Hindley Street, we're in Pulteney Street, you want to come work?" I hadn't worked in a bike shop. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I just wanted to work with cool people, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, just went to do that, and it was easy to go racing and riding and have a good time. And then, I don't know when it was. When was it, Jamie?
I reckon
when you
I
started
came in-
JT's?
I got back to Adelaide, I think, in 2002, maybe, something like that. 2001, 2002.
Yeah, it's just before we moved, because we moved into the
We
bigger
moved to
shop.
the big shop.
So we had the second
Yeah,
shop
no, I
in
remember
Pulteney.
doing that building mission
Yeah.
through the winter, wasn't it? I remember riding home a few
Yeah.
times at like midnight when it was
Yeah.
freezing cold.
And we carried like 8 metres of slat walls, one piece down.
Yeah. A few hundred metres down the road.
Yeah, we
We're
worked at-
talking about you had the shop versus Domino's Pizzas now.
Yeah,
I don't
there
know
was
what it
the
is,
little
or it's
shop.
And there was
It
then
was
the one next to it.
the right hand side, and then you moved to probably the biggest bike shop that Adelaide had ever seen at that time. How many square metres was that new place?
I think it was like a bit over 1,000. It was close to 1,000, I think it was, without the back and so forth. And obviously it had a big warehouse area.
And before that, bike shops were just pretty much just a shop.
Tiny.
I mean, Bicycle Express had a fairly big shop. Some of them were reasonable size, but this just took it to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that time for sure, compared to the shop we were in before.
Yeah.
And what else did you have in the
and
shop?
the frontage as well,
Yeah.
like, you know, on that main street there,
Yeah.
on Pulteney Street, with a lot of shop frontage, a lot of glass. You know, it wasn't just like the kind of little corner shop anymore. It was like, look at this whole, you know, big exposed shop. It was awesome.
it was. I mean, I think we started a little bit of. It was more about at the shop before that, on Pulteney next to the old Backpackers and the Dominoes one, where we sort of brought a lot more lifestyle into the business of, you know, I was one of the first adopters doing all the Fox casual clothing and all the surf clothing, obviously selling your clothing as well, and starting to looking, you know, Pato had some of his CTR, his T-shirts, and then supporting, you know, Cabinet, all the other guys that were doing some, you know, different stuff. So I was trying to get that, I think, lifestyle in early, but obviously moving into the bigger store. The last one I was at when we had the cafe and had the huge workshop. You know, we had that huge area for clothing, like a third of the store was clothing. So we were turning over a lot of clothing, and, you know, we had vans were selling in there to the BMX area that
all
we
the
had
Jamie's
there.
BMX stuff in the corner.
Yeah, we had all the, you know, we're doing Globe and things like that. So looking at all other streetwear brands and everything associated with off the bike was sort of...
It's kind of like what the surf shops have been doing with surf. You're kind of bringing that into mountain biking or biking, which hadn't really been done as such yet, you know.
Correct,
maybe?
yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, totally. I think it was because we all, you know, wanted to be a bit associated with some of the brands. And there was a few brands that were starting to move that way. You know, Oakley was starting to go a bit harder into a bit more clothing and sort of more casual clothing than for off the bike instead of so much technical clothing as well. So, yeah, it was definitely a bit of a game changer as the landscape, I would say, of retail. And that was, 2003, I think we opened that store. Yeah. And it was, it was
I
awesome.
think that's when I came on board somewhere around then.
Yeah.
Is that when did you meet everyone, Jamie?
Yeah, that's definitely when I met these guys.
You were at the old shop.
I was at the old shop, and then for a few months, so I'm not sure, I don't know, at least the summer, because I remember how hot it was out in the back in the workshop when you had to be out there with, you know, no one had any shirts on. It was about 50 degrees under
51
the tin
degrees on the mez.
Yeah, Flanderzz was out there with Nat, just working out their shirts
Chad
off.
Gossett's no shirt.
Yeah.
Shirtless.
So I think that was either 2002 or 3 maybe, and then, like you say, we moved down the road and put a heap of work into opening
Who were
that up.
some of those people? All right. I mean, it's hard to remember names, but with 3 or 4 of us here, you might get a few more of them. Who were some of the people in that shop, the first one? We're talking
Pato worked with me. You know, Gary Patterson, obviously.
And what were they doing? What were the different people doing in the shop as well?
Gary was just, you know, he was great at talking to everyone. Gary was very technical too, so he could do both sides of it, work on the bike, so he had good knowledge. I mean, Pato was I would say, one of my longest friends in biking for sure. I met him at JT's in Highley Street, and he had just come back from skating and stuff like that in the US, and then he brought back one of the original Specialized M2, like, you know, when they started doing Metal Matrix, which is their aluminium composite style frame, and then Gary was right into it with the products and RockShox, early adopter, and so he knew suspension and the products, so he was good there, and obviously could talk to people out the front as well, and obviously, we've had guys like Marshy that's worked there as well when you were there, Zol, and working with Marshy as well, I think.
That's the next shop. What about more the guys in the first shop?
In the first shop.
Sean Bowden out in the
Sean
workshop
Bowden.
with me. Chad
Rest in
Gossett.
peace.
Jana.
Chad was there in the first shop.
Yeah.
She worked out the front.
Jana, yeah. It was great having a female in the mix. Yeah.
Nat taught me how to build wheels.
Pretty hard to go past Rick.
Oh, Hairy Rick, for sure.
Rick.
Big hairy Rick was in both shops.
Rick's the best.
Rick Hay,
Yeah.
He was
Shout
good.
out to Rick. He's awesome. I love him.
I remember once when Rick shoved a whole, those little sharpened spokes we used to do to, like, push through the valve hole and put slime in.
Straight to his finger.
He put it straight through his finger, and he's coming to me. What should I do, mate? I said, just pull it out. So I
Put
just
some
ripped it
slime
out
in
of
it.
his finger and got some electrical tape. And then, there you go, mate. Off you go. See you later.
You know
Shout
how you
out,
say
Rick.
on
Hello,
3?
mate. He's
On
probably
3,
watching.
but you pull on 2. You know, we're going to go on 3, and then it was 1, 2, and it went.
God.
And we sent him up to the private hospital up the road or whatever for a tetanus shot.
And then
Then you
probably
had fun, and then you moved to the new shop.
well, there was also the great Sammy Whittam.
Yeah.
That was also there.
Actually,
so Sammy and Daryl as
Daryl
well.
Mullier.
Yes.
So Daryl worked there. So
I was
Daryl
riding
cut his
horse
teeth.
nulls
Yeah.
and Molyneux. Made a lot of tracks in Adelaide. But we're talking about Sammy. I've got this new setup where I can call people. Maybe we might try, and
Do
let's
it.
experiment
Get him on
now.
the phone.
Let's see if we can call him. Let's
What
see
time
if
is
we
it
can
in
do
Dubai?
They're about 6 hours.
Sammy Whittam
Morning
works in
time.
Dubai.
He gets up at 2 a.m. because it's like still
He
30
sent me a
degrees.
message.
Before it
That's
gets
the
to
only time
40.
we can get
degrees.
out and go for a ride and do stuff.
Yeah,
was
that's
it?
his.
Where was it?
He's
Yeah.
the new 2 a.m. club that's beating the 5 a.m.
Mate, I think we're going to need that in Adelaide this summer.
Keep talking amongst
But yeah,
themselves. in the
Sammy was
meantime.
there. Molyneux was there. Yeah,
this
Sean. Who else did we have? We
In the first shot.
did I? No, I didn't have
I don't think it's
Joe
working.
Quarmby.
No.
I was looking after Joe. There was a few other riders from memory that worked in and under there. Some juniors that. Lucy and Keane
Keen.
Lucky.
Lucky. Yeah, of course.
worked there.
He was at the Polling Street shop.
Yeah, Lucky was a great guy. And he was a good young kid when he started off there.
Young XC racer.
An XC racer as well. I have a feeling there was
Just
another.
testing things.
Was that our whole music?
Yeah, no, I'm just checking if things are working here. You keep talking
There
about
was
yourselves.
another. I reckon there was another girl, or was that Christine Bailey? That was when I'd sort of moved on, and she was
Yeah, Christine worked at the bigger
at
shop.
the biggest shop.
Seen at the big shop.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
But I think that was most of the guys that used to work there. I mean, I had
And then the new
Jack
shop.
Owens that worked there as well. Jack.
And Jack was a big part of
Follow
that. Cooking
me.
barbecues at the inside line. Mountain bike races.
Yeah, that was making my slush fun to go around and race
Yeah.
bikes.
Yeah.
And Luke Radner's mum, I remember she was amazing. She
Maxine,
used to,
yes,
she used to
yes.
sit on the barbie and sell all the sausages for me, and the bickies would make and pay for racing.
While I figure this out, some early inside line downhill mountain bike events. Trav from JT's was a huge part of
Yeah.
putting these events on, and looks like Todd's
So I got
got a
some
heap of
flyers.
flyers here.
Oh, God.
This camera's not
Flanders.
working. This one doesn't want to play.
I found
But
these in
you
a
can
bunch
use
of
that
stuff
one.
in the
Grab that one,
shed.
Jamie, and you can help.
So we're talking like, when are they, Trav? This is my era when I started racing. So Track of Doom, Sailor's Gully,
I
Gumaraka, Mount
reckon they would
Crawford.
have been 95, 96.
Sunday the 25th of July. Get this racing, Jamie. $15 for
I know, love
expert,
it.
$10 for sport.
I dug a heap of these out.
You got a $5 deposit for your number plate. Look at all
you
the
get back?
Fucking look at all the sponsors.
Yeah, so the
Dude,
sponsors, when you think,
doing a
well,
good job.
Pato's business was obviously CTR.
Crash to it. We got to get Gary in here. We definitely do.
$2,000 worth of prizes, man.
we
Hook
used
me
to give
up.
away a heap of products, and they were from all my great distributors I used to deal with.
All Assault magazine, man.
Glenn
Yeah.
Holloway.
To Glenn
This is
Holloway.
Glenn
What a
Holloway
legend.
produced all of this artwork
Yeah,
for
legend.
to you people listening and watching.
Any Star Wars fans?
Yeah.
Yes.
Return of
Yeah,
the
there's
Jedi.
a few of these.
Yeah, man.
Fox Creek.
That's a collection there, Flanders.
That was my
is a
first
serious
race at Fox
connection.
Creek.
What do you
Yeah.
reckon this was? Mid 90s.
Yeah, it was mid-90s. I think I always related to
Oh,
it
I did a
was
Marble
shop
Hill. My
was
first
in-
race was Marble Hill when it was the two tracks.
Yeah,
That was my first
the two
race, and then
tracks.
next was Fox Creek.
Oh, Peter
So I
Mack.
don't think I have. There you go.
I remember I remember Benny A when I started looking after Benny A, and he was a young whippersnapper, and I basically had to babysit him from his dad and take him out to the race and bring him home,
Give
and
him
then and I'd have to give him food. I'd have to go buy his McDonald's for
There's
him.
Trav. Check out Trav. This is the best. And who's that?
See,
Remember
look at
the
these
made
memories
racer?
here. We have people.
Who's he?
Peter Durbridge
Peter D.
Peter Durbridge.
Yeah.
And is that Jack?
and Jack Owens. Yeah,
Peter Durbridge. Hey, man. They used to call
me
him.
not looking too well at my 21st, I think.
And Nat at the bottom with a
Nat.
carton of VB.
Yeah.
But a lot of people used to have nicknames
Yeah.
back in those days, didn't
Yeah,
they?
they did.
Like
Everyone
Peter
had to.
Durbridge
PD.
was He-Man because
Yeah.
he'd smash chain rings because he powered himself too much.
So
Yeah.
strong.
His thighs were too
Lovely
big.
guy. Nice guy. It was, wow.
Oh,
I
check out
can't
this
believe
one
you
as
got
well.
these Flanders.
Dude, check
Yeah,
it
you
out.
can.
Check it out.
It's
It's
got
like
all of them.
Arnie.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, are you kidding me? Look at that chick. Is she salty or what? You can't put out stuff like that anymore, can you,
No,
Jamie?
I'd get fucking killed if we put that out.
Not in today's
Oh,
world.
Inside Line. Yeah, Jamie is the
Star
current
Wars.
president of the Inside Line Mountain Bikers Club,
Oh, wow.
club as well. While we've got this
30
royalty
years
here,
in the club is.
this royalty
So
that we
these
have
going
here
really well.
today.
So
That one
these
was
are all
awesome.
getting put up in frames on my wall.
Did you have these, or were these in the shop?
Yeah,
When-
so I'll explain where these came from. When I was working in the shop, in the little shop, these would all be up on the front window, right?
Yeah.
At the end of that race, we'd be pulling them down. So they'd be blue tacked up. I'd take them down. And of course, because I'm a little hoarder like
You're a
that shit.
hobbit.
Slightly
I'm a
OCD
hobbit for
hoarder.
memorabilia. I'm like, I kind of figured I'd take them because one day I might not remember. And that would
Well,
be
it
a way
goes really
to remember.
well to I can see you when we're all in the old man's home.
Yeah, I'll be looking at those. man.
Trying to
I got
do you
you.
remember that time? Oh, here, hang on. We'll just
Yeah.
jog your memory here, mate.
I just love it that they're just black and white, man. They're just simple and they're awesome. He did such a good job.
No, he did an awesome job. I remember when.
That's why I like taking photos, because I know I'll forget stuff. So at least
Yeah.
you can look back and
Exactly.
there it was. You
I
don't
just
have
got to put them on my wall.
log
Frame
that.
them.
No, they are good. It was
There you go.
a good time. It
I
was-
don't think anyone's seen those in like 20 years.
Yeah.
I haven't had them. They haven't seen the light of day for a long time.
I've got photos of copies at Holloway's place at Melrose there, but I haven't seen. That's a bloody good collection there. That's a very
It's a good
impressive
stash.
collection.
Yeah, there
That's-
was some
that's worth
good
something.
times and efforts, and yeah, well, it was good prizes. There was heaps of atmosphere out there in those days as well. I mean, no, I haven't been back there obviously now with what you're doing, Jamie, but I hear from afar that it's amazing and the support is huge. So
What are your earliest memories of racing downhill mountain bikes here in Adelaide, boys?
Earliest
earliest
Trying to
racing,
think of- well,
Peter
I was pretty late, but-
Montague out there was Max.
Peter Mack?
Yeah, the bus and the two tracks. As I said, like I used to take Benny A out there when he was 15, 16 to take him out there. And it was pretty much cross-country bikes just, and we did those those tandem tracks and
Yeah.
stuff like that, to go. That was probably
in
my
combined time.
earliest, yeah. That was my
That's that
earliest time.
94-ish time.
Yeah,
That's
I
when
reckon
they
my first
mine.
races was already pretty modern by then in sort of 2003, I think. But even then, I've shown some kids in the club some old footage. It might have been of yours, old that you've been putting up lately. And, we're down at Wollonga, all in the cage trailer. Just hang onto your bike in the cage trailer and try not to fall out the back.
Well, then there was Wollonga when we first got that track, and then it was racing down the road.
The fire road.
Yeah.
It was so loose.
Yeah, I remember
High
like
speed.
the Marble Hill and stuff, whatever. It was like you'd push back up. There wasn't even any
That's
shuttles.
right. It was a gully.
You had to do both tracks, learn them, and you had to push back up.
Yeah.
And then you had to race it.
In all fairness, it's probably only 200 metres to the top, though. It wasn't far.
Yeah, it wasn't far.
There wasn't a lot of gravity. There wasn't a lot of drop. From
But
the
my
top
race
to the
was
bottom.
wet. It was like pissing with rain and didn't know anything about tyres, for wet weather, and just, found out the hard way. Learn on the fly, you know what I mean?
You were
like
racing
that.
at Peter Max? Were you at those Marble Hills?
I had, 94 probably. I had a GT RTS2.
Yeah.
I reckon I remember calling up JTs and asking Trav, I got this GT, this guy wants to sell. It was in Cash Converters. So my intro to downhill was like, I bought a bike off a
Yeah.
mate who'd pawned it at Cash Converters because he needed money. For whatever he did, I didn't ask. But so eventually I got that, and he goes, there's two types. There's a good one, an LTS, and the other one, which is the RTS. And I
RTS.
said, oh, shit, I ended up getting the RTS. But anyways, it was my good intro to riding. Buckled
Was that
both
the good one
wheels.
or the bad one?
Was it
Well,
bad?
that
Well,
would have been about 95
It
because
was
the
a
LTS
Julie.
came out in
Yes.
95,
Oh,
96.
This chrome frame,
chrome one,
polished.
yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, so
at
I
the
had
time.
that, buckled both wheels within no time, and was hitting, because you had one bike, right? You just had one bike to try and do everything, hit dirt jumps and ride
Yeah.
with your mates like Sammy Whittam and all the boys in Mile End after work. We'd all be go out there and trying to, do wheelies, just coaster and wheelie down the road. And then, when I sold that, went to Canada, I kind of had a few years off, and then by the time I came back was like when Jamie got into it, in 98, 99, we sort of hit the jackpot where all the dualies like Santa Cruz Super 8s came out and dual forks were out and full hydraulic proper disc brakes were out instead of, just...
Yeah, that's right. You got a Super 8 with the Monster Tees on it, didn't you? Was that the one?
It didn't come with Monster Tees. It
Oh,
comes
yeah.
with Experts
That's right.
first. Dom
Yeah.
got the Foe's Weasel, and he had boxes on it, the 151s, I think, or something like that. But yeah, we got that and had the first haze brakes, and it was just like, then I came back and realised why people could go so fast, you know what I mean? Because my first race was on LX cantilever brakes, man.
The call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
so
At
I've
the
made
tone,
that first bit
please
work.
record your message.
That's
When
Sammy
you have
Whittam we're
finished
trying to
recording,
reach
you may
now.
hang up.
Sammy, call us back if you can. We'll see if we can make this work.
Yeah. Do a deal,
We'll join you
Sammy.
in.
Let's do a deal.
We'll be back. See you soon.
Love you, mate.
Curly.
Sorry.
That's
I was just
great.
practicing. All right, keep going. Sorry.
Sweet, I like that. Let's call a few more people.
Yeah, what can we do?
Can we do
call
a
Popsy.
Can we
Let's
do
call
like an
Stuntlips.
SAFM cash
I
call?
told
That was
him-
really
I told him we
good.
were call, I told him we were calling him, so he's
While we're
expecting
here-
our call.
While we're here, you guys
I'll
keep
let,
talking
I'll let him
amongst
know
yourselves.
we're on our way.
We'll see.
When did
Well-
you guys meet Potsy? I met Potsy when I came back.
Oh, Sammy's in
properly
a
At the
meeting.
shop.
Sammy's in a meeting, mate.
in
Tell him
90.
how long. Ask him how long you want to be, mate. You got an important meeting to get to.
No, that's all good.
That's
Nice.
us.
We'll move on to the next guy.
Down the shakes.
Oh, okay.
You weren't talking with old school.
But no, did we hadn't finished your conversation?
Well, I met
Sorry,
Potsy
Tom.
in 98, I think. I remember he was
Potsy,
injured
yeah.
on the side with Devil's Gully, and I'd come back and I wasn't racing or something, and he was injured, and he had a stereo on his shoulder playing funk music on the side of the track. And I was like, this guy looks like fun.
Yeah.
The next minute we were going to
Still injured.
races together. We we're going to beauty.
missing the
He's still injured.
He's still fun though.
That's my good memories of Potsy playing music on the side of the hill. Just
Yeah,
funky
man.
tune.
And just like having a good time. Everyone had a good time, whether it was at work or on the bike
Sailor's
or
Gully.
at
That's
night.
all.
Time, all the time.
We'll see.
My knees hurt. My knees
Right.
hurt.
Kersbrook was the home of it all.
Yeah, I think that
Hey,
was.
Hey,
hey,
who's this?
Patrick.
Hey?
My brother from another mother. It's Todd, Jamie, and Trav here.
How's it going, Stunt Lips?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up. This
Go to
is-
the broom cupboard, mate. We're going to talk.
You got time? You're busy.
I'm at work.
You're at work. Oh, good. That's okay.
we'll just,
So are we.
we'll just book a meeting with you, mate. You're booked out.
Are you cutting shit up? Are you,
Yeah.
Potsy?
Hey,
No, this isn't very. You're cutting out a little bit. Sorry, Potsy. Your quality's not that good. I might let you get back to work. Try again. Try speak to
We've
us
got
again.
a $10,000 jackpot if you can answer this answer.
hello. Thank you.
Yes. Do you
Yeah.
like bobsleds?
No, is it?
No.
How many runs do you get out of a Mavic 221?
Is Cheech there?
Yeah.
Has anyone seen Cheech?
No,
Is he the
look,
tong?
thanks for trying. I don't think this is working this time. We might try again.
We'll call you back when you get a real
mate.
phone.
Yeah. See you, mate. We'll cheer you out, though.
Oh, no.
Who knows where this could go?
That's right.
All right,
We're giving
sorry.
away a few sausage rolls and some iced coffees down the car park, Potsy. First caller to answer this question.
Yeah, we could pull a call in. Good thing. Anyway, sorry. We practiced it. That didn't work so well. Let's get back to talking about.
That's all right. We've been breaking up with Potsy for years.
Yeah, he went to the dark side.
Oh,
of
he went to
Melbourne.
Melbourne, the dog.
Yeah.
No, it's
So-
good. It's a great place to visit, man. It's good to
Yeah.
have a
Why
GC
do you
on site
guys
there.
like bikes so much? Well, our common denominator here between the four of us is we'll do so different things in our builder often, but our common denominator is riding bikes. Why do you guys like bikes so much?
I don't know.
I'll go. I mean, I funnily enough, I actually had a few old customers come up and see me since I was in town. As I said, they heard my booming voice. And I think it always takes me back to the days of how I got into it. Well, the funny way I got into cycling was I used to play AFL and I got injured and had to sort of get over that with recovery and so forth, and got into cycling and never went back to it. But, here we are. But I think the thing that I always liked from owning the business and working with all you is another whole part of what I love. But the thing I used to love about just seeing people on bikes was that, when you were selling someone a bike or you're selling someone, they're going to go out and they're going to get involved with the sport maybe, or they're just going to even start riding, like seeing a kid ride for the first time. Everybody knows that feeling. So I think the thing is about seeing people come back after you've set them on their way, and you're like, wow, they're loving it, and everything you've recommended me was great. I'm really into it now, and next thing you know, like I see people here, they were my customers 20 odd years ago, and they're all like, I'm still into it, I love it, and they always had fun doing it and what you recommended them. And that's the reason why I like it, is to sort of see that response back from the person.
I didn't know anything about bikes, and here we are 30 years later, and you're one of the guys, at the top of the ladder from my perspective.
I've heard your bike's creaking. I'd say you still don't know a lot.
He's never been good on maintenance.
No. One of these days we'll
I'll chuck a banana in the diff and I'll sell it to someone else.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I think the joy of seeing people ride, whether it's a child for the first time or taking a friend out, or meeting someone and a customer. And sure, I've been around. I'm still in the bike industry, and have the joy now of doing that as a life, I suppose. And I get to fly around the world and talk to people doing all this. It's just that I think it's the love that people have of that part of freedom, and whether it's for freedom or exercise or an enjoyment they get out of it is what I like about the bikes.
And it is pretty easy when you're in the shop with a bunch of people who are of the same mind and love doing it as well. Is this easy to sell people stuff, or like you say, help them find the right thing that they want? Not so much sell them what you got, but they can help them get to the right thing for where they are in their riding, because everyone in the shop is so into it. So you're like, we can get you that same enjoyment that we get out of it.
Yeah, it's addictive when you're not trying to sell it. People can see it. That you love it, right? So it just sells itself. They go, I want to be frothing like this guy is. I mean, not that I like selling shit.
Because Todd, you are the chief mechanic. Like, we worked at JT's. We're friends from JT Cycles. You now work at a different bike shop.
Yeah, but I came in as JT's as a salesperson. I was Travis, and then that lasted for a bit until this old guy, I'll never forget, was trying to sell him a tube, and 700C, 27 mile and a quarter, whatever the conversation was had, and he didn't quite get it, and he asked me if I was simple. So next minute, I nearly had him across the counter, and Trav had grabbed me, and he goes, go out the back. And then he came up to me later, and he goes, you're going to be a mechanic from now on. And that was the end of my sales career. And I was just like, okay, cool.
So charges every day.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have taken long to find the edge of Todd's patience limits with,
So I didn't come
I'm
in
a bit like that. I don't have
as anything in the bike shop. Like, I like riding bikes just because I don't like walking. Like, I skateboard to my letterbox, you know what I mean? Like, I don't walk anywhere. Walking's slow and boring and crap. Like,
Todd's never
riding
been
a
one to sit
bike
still, let's be honest.
is fast.
I'm a bit like that.
And, it's good. It's just like how we used
Undiagnosed ADD.
Yeah. So it's just how we are,
I think we diagnosed it years ago. What are you talking about?
So I got into mechanics when Trav threw me out the back. He said, you're going to be a mechanic now. And I learnt from Nat.
Yeah.
And learnt from a few of the other crew, like Sean Bowden and a few of the other mechanics out there, anyone I could get, because there wasn't like a trade for it, right? You didn't go and study it like you would a chippy or something. So you had to learn on the fly. Yeah. And we were busy, and we were at the old shop. We didn't sell road bikes, man. We were just mountain biking. We were just didn't think we were hardcore mountain bikers, but mountain biking wasn't even nothing was legal. There were no mountain bike parks. It wasn't cool to be a mountain biker. It was just this scene that we were in that I was
It
like,
wasn't even racing.
No,
it was
man.
cross country, and downhill was kind of coming.
But there was no
in.
Olympics. There was no Instagram. There was no hundreds of thousands of followers. There wasn't
no
like,
place for
you
riding
can be
that bike.
famous. It was just like we just went and did it. And so learning to be a mechanic was like, well, Trav loves selling bikes to people. I like fixing their bikes and sending them on their way and then being stoked, Yeah. And it was going to be endless, right? It was never going to stop because people were going to keep breaking stuff and having to come back. And then like what I do now is just evolved over all those years that now I hook up computers to bikes every day. It's like, if someone had told me that back in the JT's days in 98, I would have thought I would have lost it,
electronic stuff.
And it's it's just nuts.
So your battery runs flat.
Yeah,
I was on a ride the other day. We're at the top of the hill.
runs
You got a
out.
spare battery? Yeah.
Plug in your Bosch diagnostic machine.
But it's gotten pretty
going on
tech.
with you.
And that knowledge is like I train younger kids now and apprentice kids because you can't just go anywhere and learn it. What you got to, what you got to know now.
I think that was always the thing
Somebody's
that you
just
had.
suggested try now. Keep talking.
You had Todd was always like we always used to have our lovely MacGyver fee.
Yeah.
And you were great. I think
Still have it.
I think you love You love fixing stuff that you know you can MacGyver more than you love replacing stuff.
Well,
because-
people tell me that can't be fixed.
That's
Then
right,
I'm
you
like,
love that
okay,
shit.
now you got me. I'm gone.
So yeah, it was always. I was only telling people that the other day when we drove past rode past the Cooper's Ale House,
Zoltan.
and I was.
Is this Sammy Whittam? Come on down.
Coming at you live direct.
Kelly.
Coming at you like Cleopatra.
Sammy Whittam, we are. Oh, it's a bit echoey. I don't know how to
good.
deal with
Might be on
that.
speaker.
We're
It's
okay with that.
cave.
Sammy.
You might have it on speaker on your phone.
Well, who knows?
We're deep in the wombat
Yeah,
hole.
Aren't we?
We're,
I don't know.
So I was new
We
to
can
this.
hear each other. I don't know what we're doing. I think I pushed a
it
button there.
feels you are a long way away now, Zol. I keep it on
Stop
echo.
it. Stop it. Sammy, are you there?
I'm here. How's
That's
it going,
good.
lads?
We tried to call before and it was
We
pretty
are
crackly.
awesome.
See how we go. So good to speak to you, mate.
So good to be here. G'day, Zoltan. Hello, Travis.
Hello, Samuel. Robert Whittam. How are you, brother?
Couldn't be better. Who else have you got there in the studio there, Zoltan?
Got Norway here, mate.
No way.
And,
No way.
and we
Jamie
also
Foale,
have
legend.
The one and only spoke puppet.
It's Flanderzz, man.
The Magic Wrench.
How are you,
Not the
Sam?
Magic.
The magic
How's it going,
wrench.
Flanders?
I'm good, man. How are you?
That ain't
busy.
Dr. Dremel for nothing.
you
Yeah.
don't have time to talk to us, but you've taken a little minute.
He's going to take a few minutes out of the busy
Sorry.
schedule.
So, just to introduce people that are listening and not watching, don't have any idea. Sammy Whittam used to work with us in JT's, part of the all-time OG best crew in the world, and he now lives in Dubai, and he is very busy and important, and he's taken a minute to speak to us here.
And he doesn't drink beer.
I'm busy. I don't know how important I am, but
You're
I'm pretty
important.
busy.
You're
but,
important to us, Sammy.
Yeah.
Hey, while I've got you,
that's-
before, have you got
Yes.
like 10 minutes to stay on the phone with us and we'll talk shit? How
Let's
much
do
time
it.
have you got? How much time have you
Don't
got?
worry about the lack of visuals. We'll
Yeah.
have some photos we
Yeah.
can overlay for
Yeah.
Sammy later on.
Just
of
imagine,
Sammy.
we've got pictures of you up here right now, jumping over the doubles at Kersbrook with your red and blue CTR knee shin pads, with your hair flowing back and your cross-country lid and your bar ends on.
See, that's how we used to roll back in the day.
That's right,
Makes you
brother.
feel special. Hey, Sammy, while I've got you, even though this is virtual, all my new guests, I come and I speak to here. My first question to them is, if you could be an animal, what animal would you be and why? What's your thoughts on that? Put you on your toes.
There's so many. I mean, I flip between a wildebeest and a meerkat. Maybe that's something to do with my mixed personalities.
Love it. Love it.
Why the wildebeest, Sammy?
Oh, because you know me, Travi. I back my mates up. I go in like a wildebeest.
Too right. And the meerkat?
Because I'm always peeping Tom. So I'm always looking. You never know what you might see.
Keep it real. Keep
I
it
used to
real.
live with Sam. He
In
was
and out-
definitely peeping in and out of people's
In and out
rooms
of
and
the,
stuff like
in and out of
that.
the tent. Hey, Flanders, you be peeping?
for sure. Yeah, with Sam and
Yes.
Danny and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good,
New Year's
it was
Eve.
good news. Matt Roberts'
Really,
house.
really appreciate you taking the call, Sammy. But seriously, how much time you got
Don't
to hang
worry,
out with
Sammy's not
us,
his real
and
name.
we can. I know you got stuff to do. You
I-
got like
I
5
got-
or 10 minutes, or
Yeah, absolutely,
or not
absolutely.
even?
It's
Well,
great to hear your
we're
voices,
just
guys.
joining.
It's
We're just having.
flashback
We're
city.
sitting in my shed with lights and some cameras and stuff. We're recording this podcast for the 3 people that are watching. And you're part of this conversation. Anything the boys want to say, I'll open the floor.
Oh, Sammy, let's talk about when we started our amazing relationship, and you definitely being one of the key people at JT's for me. That where you came from and how we crossed our paths to then unite and join forces.
I think I was working at Youth Work on Rundle Mall, and we made friends on the dance floor at some of the clubs around Adelaide. And
Oh
Youth
no,
Work
not
selling
really.
clothes.
Friends at a club.
Same thing Todd said.
Yeah.
dude, absolutely.
Oh, dude.
That's
Yeah.
how me and Sam
Dance
know
floor
each
buddies.
other for sure.
That's how we are all brothers.
La Rocks.
And
Is
then
that it?
Travis said, "Why are you wasting your time selling clothes? Why don't you come and work for me. Let's sell some bikes.
Yeah.
And I remember the first day I sold a Specialized FSR, and I thought, oh, this is awesome. I'm into this. Let's do it. Never look back.
Yeah. And
Remember that, Trav?
I remember that. Yeah. I even remember times of Aquila, I think, because I remember you coming down. And I thought it was even closer to that when you were
with Matt Roderick
with the shoes and.
I remember Doc Martens when Sam worked. You worked in Melbourne, didn't you, on Swanson Street?
Yeah, but when he.
That's it.
But
Man, that's a while back.
Yeah.
Let's not count the years, but yeah, I think I only just had a 2 before my age. But yeah, that was some good times.
But yeah, it was good coming into the bike industry. I think that sort of reinvigorated your life out of working in fashion and car sales and a few other places, and now you're still 30 odd years later, still in the bike industry.
What are you doing with yourself now, Sammy? Tell us.
Well, actually, I've got a lot to thank Travis for because, life is funny how it takes these turns. And, it was never super lucrative working in retail in your early 20s. But Travis carved a path for me in the bike industry that I'll be forever grateful, because after the last 30 years of being in the bike industry, I'm now living and working in Dubai. I'm Chief Strategy and Growth Officer for a company called Wolfies. And we're renowned as probably one of the best bike shops in the world, and I'm super proud to be here with this company. And
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It is amazing.
Definitely.
For one that I travel the world speaking with all people's bikes and
Give
bike
us
shops.
a couple of quick steps.
It's amazing.
Give us a couple of steps from JT's in Adelaide in Rundle Street. Step us roughly... Pulteney Street, sorry.
Yeah.
You left there roughly when? What did you do from there? Give us a couple of quick steps, a couple of quick jumps on your journey.
Quick jump. Okay, fast track. I had aspirations of becoming a really good mountain biker, so I thought, I'm going to go travel the circuit in Australia. And Sammy kind of laughed at me and said, "Yeah, off you go." So I went to Melbourne and got a job at the Freedom Machine, and then the guys from Avanti and Specialized were coming over, and I actually did a presentation to them. This was a turning point. I did a presentation, and Gary Ooze helped me put this presentation together, and I presented it to the owner of
DJ
Avanti,
Uzi.
and
DJ Uzi.
DJ Uzi.
He's on one of my early hyper. Oh no, intro.
Yep.
Early. Yeah, sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, he was. I was living with him in Melbourne, and he put this presentation for me together, and I presented it to the owners of Avanti, and they actually offered me a job in New Zealand. So I moved to New Zealand in about 1990, I think it was, and year of the Guru, 1990, and couple of years stint there, and then managed the Specialized BMX team at the X Games with TJ Lavin and Alan Cook and some of the legends back then, and then I was working back for you, wasn't I, Travi, when I got a call for Anaconda.
Yeah, you were working for me. You'd left Adrian sometime, and then you came back and worked for me for, I think it was 3 or 4 years, maybe, when we had the smaller JT store before we moved to the big one.
That's it.
That was
with the dishwasher joint next door.
Yeah, because we had a pretty big opening night that night when we opened that store, and we all built the store really, but Gus and I and maybe Sammy stayed awake for about 2 days to finish it off and get the store opening, and then we had the famous opening party when we had the half yard comp with all the boys, which Sammy then scarred a half-yard stolly because he doesn't drink beer, which is another reason why he's got long hair.
We got footage of that.
And that was so. Then was 3 odd years in there, and then we moved into the big one. So and then obviously from on there, Sammy.
What'd you do from there, Sammy?
Well, I got actually a recommendation from Jamie Stewart.
Yeah.
I was still in Australia. I came back to Australia. Jamie Stewart recommended me for a job with Anaconda when Anaconda was being founded, and I joined the startup crew for Anaconda. So there was 2 CEOs and there was 4 of us as business managers, and I was the bike guy. So I had a huge opportunity to start that new company, and everyone probably knows Anaconda.
Yeah, pay more, play
so I
less.
was part of the founding crew of that.
Sing that again.
And Anaconda.
No, sorry.
And so I was part of the founding crew for Anaconda and started Fluid Bicycles, and
with the
I was there for
flow.
4 years, and I actually go with the flow, and then I got a call from an Australian recruiter in Dubai, and they were looking to start up a similar concept to Anaconda in the Middle East, and I successfully landed that job, and
year?
I moved
What year?
here in 2008.
Eight.
Yeah,
Sounds right.
yeah, that right. Yeah,
Sounds
When you
about
left
right.
us.
If
When you
my
left us.
passport serves me correctly.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was it. And then I spent 8 years building a new company over here called Adventure HQ, which is a big box outdoor adventure retail company. We were the BMC distributor and started a racing team, built 11 shops, had 200 staff, and then basically left to become a consultant. Then I went and worked for Bounce Trampoline Parks from Australia for a couple of years as the chief operating officer, 8 venues in 5 countries. And then I got back to my roots after COVID because the leisure and entertainment industry fell apart. And then, got this opportunity to join Wolfies at a time when the industry was, booming during COVID. And the group that Wolfies is actually invested into is the royal family from Abu Dhabi. And they've got investments in, they own Colnago, they run and own the UAE Team Emirates with Pogacar, UAE Team ADQ, which is the women's UCI team, also own MyWush, which is the indoor cycling platform, and are partners now with Pearce, which is the Italian cycling company. So,
Bloody hell.
So
Yeah.
pretty much.
pretty-
Well, I hope you land on
pretty
your
solid
feet sometime
family.
soon.
all meerkats do, don't they?
He's still flying. He's still flying.
But did you finish? What did you finish? Did you finish high school? Did you finish school? Did you study?
Fashion. He's got
Just
a
a
passion
quick-
for fashion, man.
Did you finish year 12?
No, I left just before I finished year 11, actually.
And another one.
So,
And look at you
Just
now.
like Kerry Packer.
Look at you now. So chuffed, how stoked to what you've achieved.
So he was a
Sammy.
sicko on the dance floor, and he's just dancing around the industry now, doing what he wants.
It'd be one for
gotta
throwing
be
a bit
happy.
it'd be one for him and Rhett throwing a bit of talcum powder on the dance floor, right?
Yeah, I don't mind. Oh, Rhett throws his beer on the
Shuffle it
ground to
Yeah.
wet it down and get some slickness.
Sammy was high level. He had the talcum powder in his pocket, ready to throw that down, so he could just move like Michael. Yeah.
It was that thing, man, dancing.
can I recall a couple of my of memories of those guys in the
Please do.
studio there, Zol?
It'd
Please
be rude
do.
not to,
Yeah,
Sam.
I think I remember one day I was working on the shop floor in JT's, and these 2 people came in, two good looking blondes, and one was Jamie Foale and the other one was Ange. They came
So
in. I
you said
remember
one good looking blonde then. Her name was Ange.
one
had
good
hair
looking
before
blonde
he had a
was
beard.
Ange and the other one was Norway. And so do you remember this Norway? And we had the Specialised Epic in there.
Yeah.
And you came in and you're asking me all these questions about the valves and the pistons and the this and the that. And I'm
Engineering the
like,
shit
man,
out of
this
you.
guy knows. He knows way more stuff than I do. I'm like, how am I going to work my way into a sale here? And I said, oh, what do you do? What do you do? What do you study? He's like, oh, yeah, engineer. I'm like, oh, God, here we go.
Yeah.
Great.
Where's
I've got an
Daryl?
engineer as a customer here. Yeah.
It's going to be hard work.
I had to call for backup.
Call Daryl
I
out
had
the
to call
front.
for backup. But that was the first day that we met, Jamie, if you remember that. That was
in the small shop.
yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
That was
And it wouldn't have been long after
and
that
then
I
we-
joined.
Yeah, that was it. Was a good. It
Yeah,
was a
exactly.
good find. It was a good find for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. That was good times.
Travi, the competent erections, the things that we went to building that shop with
Gus and Fitzy.
Flanderzz and Gus
Oh, Fitzy.
and Fitzy and
That's it.
All of the late night
getting
legitimate
the concrete
tradies.
grinder out to make a
Yeah.
getting
Well,
the
yeah,
concrete
in the
grinder
newer
out to
store,
make
but
a slightly acute ramp that would flip anyone on a wheelchair. But we were advocating that it was a disability access, but it was more so for bikes to roll up the ramp.
Well, then when the council tried to shut me down for that ramp, but then I had the professor. Remember, there was the guy in the wheelchair that used to come into the shop, and he was a lecturer down at Adelaide Uni there, and he used to buy CO2 cylinders off us. A lovely guy. His name is gone from me at the moment, but I had to get a letter of reference from him to then show. I'm like, this guy can put his wheelchair up the ramp, not a problem, and come in through over our security dodgy gate we made with the wooden platform and the security gate there, and that was fine. But we fitted late nights. But I reckon the late nights were in the older shop when we kept going for a couple of days, and Gus and Fitzy and yourself and most people were all there putting the old corrugated iron sheets on from Redcliffe onto the front of the counters, and we got that monster of a centre counter made that it was next level. No one was doing all that stuff, and
you guys were all doing it yourselves. That's like everyone hires like professional tradies to do all that stuff now. But when I came in, we were working in that little shop.
Yeah.
And then we were working the whole day till 6.
Yeah.
And then everything would just get hauled down to the new shop. You'd go to the new shop and work in that until 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Go home. Didn't you guys sleep in the shop at one point?
Well,
I was getting
we tried
like
to
3
sleep.
hours
I feel
sleep.
like did a couple of all-nighters for sure.
We did some all-nighters, and Gus and I remember Gus and I, for one, we were out the back in the laneway there in the dirt near the backpackers washing ourselves under the tap. Because we were working for 2 days.
Do what you got to do.
And we got it open, and then I know young Samuel here, he stitched me up good and proper that night when we had the opening of that party at the back with on the video of yours, and it was we went another way after that, but it was a good
But the
night.
shop was related to who started JT Cycles? Where does that come from? A little step back.
Yeah, it would step back to that. JT's itself has been around since the early 70s, and it actually stands for Joffrey Pearce, who is Des Pearce, the original owner, and his mate, Trevor. Joffrey was had a mate called Trevor. They both worked in there because it came from Findon Skid Kids. So it's a bit of a weird thing. It's Skid Kids is definitely South Australian to a degree, only in Australia, but they did race against the UK and other countries that would race. So it was sort of I think it was a 26 by 1 3/8 wheel with like a sort of a really like ovalised track, and they would
Flat, no burn.
Bit of bicycle speedway.
no berms, flat tracking, sort of. It's a bit like sort of moto speedway, but without obviously the moto, and they'd race around and
It was a
so
mini
forth.
horse racing track.
Yeah, so that's where it came from.
No
And
brakes, wasn't it?
Yep, no brakes. And they would start with that. So that was where the JT name, and Des, and then Gavin Nugent, who's still in the industry now. He's got the My Ride out there at Salisbury with his kids. He was one of my business partners as well. And
So that was Des Pearce, though.
Des was
Pearce, eh?
Subaru, wasn't he?
yeah, they started Subaru BMX. That's right. So Subaru.
So was Des part of the original J?
Yeah, he
Yes.
started.
Yeah.
He owned it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
And he started. Then he brought Gavin on board as well. But Joffrey and Trevor were the two that sort of were the name.
And that's how the name came.
yeah.
And the
Yeah.
logo, which was, they said was maybe an American logo. There
Yeah,
was
it is.
some
It's
bit of
from a
that
BMX
stuff too.
racing logo.
JT USA.
Yeah, because when I raced BMX when I was a kid at
Moto
school,
stuff.
I had a JT's Joffer. So then when I saw JT Cycles, it just like
Yeah.
I just familiarised it with that. I was just like,
Yeah. Broke a few tears when I changed the logo. I'm like, well,
I don't think that was a good move,
I'm
Trav.
sick of ripping off everyone
Yeah.
else's logo. Let's do something
So we do
original.
our own thing. I mean, that's what we were good at. We were good at doing our own thing with that shop, not following trends, not doing
Sammy,
anything.
tell me what are you doing? How's your next couple of weeks looking? What are you doing for the King of Dubai?
Oh, I can't disclose. It's top secret. It's fully confidential.
Top secret.
Talk to us about your riding these days.
I actually did a 6-hour mountain bike race yesterday,
Bullshit.
and it was a
You're stupid.
yeah
man.
event called Dirtopia. You thought you were going to catch me out then, Jamie, but sucked in.
I know you've been doing some riding.
No, I've been stalking you on Facebook. I know you've been riding with your daughter.
What's Facebook?
Yeah. No, there's lots of there's a few good rides with my daughter. My daughter's 7 now, so getting her out on the mountain bike, and that's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had an event yesterday called Dirtopia, which is a mountain bike 6-hour event, 8-kilometre loops, and a running race, running side by side. So that was a new concept for this region. There's about 250 people out there,
So did you have to
we've
run
got
too, Sammy, or you rode?
God no. No, there's no.
You did some triathlons those
Yeah,
years.
exactly, Zol. Let's
You
just
did
tell
some
the crowd here
triathlons.
that Sam
You
Whittam
can
is
do
an
that.
Iron Man.
Yes.
He sure is an expert at exercising.
He's had
that
a rib
'cause you're not allowed
removed
to
too.
drink
Did you know
alcohol?
that? He's had a rib removed. Did you know that? From his
No.
time at Camping?
Yes, no, you just do
Really?
triathlons. You're still a bit of a fit bugger, aren't you?
I go all right, Zol.
He'd go
not
right.
bad.
You don't have to talk it up on.
He doesn't mind cramming in
There's
an
only 3
event.
people listening, so it doesn't matter.
That's why they
Sammy.
call him Stamina Sam.
He's good at the night jersey.
Oh, drop me.
Do you need to
The
keep
dance
rolling,
floor.
Sammy? Do you need to
The
keep
dance
doing what you
floor
need to do?
stamina.
Or you got anything you'd like to
I do
question?
need to keep rolling.
You want to throw something out here? Here, quick, if you've got to go, if you could say something really good to someone, if they're having a bad day, what would be a good positive thing? You've had a bad day, it didn't work out well, but you got out
Sam's
of it.
great at that.
What would you do? What would you say?
Let's go, Sammy.
He used to do it
Mindset.
for me all the time.
2 options: growth mindset, scarcity mindset. It's all in your head. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, it's completely up to you.
That's it. Be the sunflower, not the cactus.
That's it. But actually, before I do go, I
be
do
a
want to
prick.
say something. I want to say that all of you guys have got such a very special place in my heart for so many different reasons, and it's all related to the bicycle. And bicycle makes friendships, and friendships make the world go round. I think, Zolly, what you've done with Volatile Visions to bring all of us together on screen, but through that sort of community is such a credit to you. And Flanderzz and Norway and Travi, you're my brothers from back in the day. You always will be. And yeah, I'm so proud that the legacy lives on through cycling. It's all of my friendships pretty much come from the bike industry, and it's really heartwarming. So thanks for having me on. It's been real. Wish I was there with you.
Same.
yeah.
Good on
Yeah.
you, Sammy.
Love you,
Pleasure
mate.
to
Look
have you
forward to seeing you
involved
again
here,
soon.
Sammy. I'm so glad we got to make this thing work. See you, mate. Get back to
Thanks,
work.
lads. All right.
Love you.
See you in June, Sammy.
See you later.
Catch you on the dance
See
floor.
you guys. Love yous all.
See you, Sammy. Good outro there. You're the man.
Sam's been putting out heaps of old dance stuff.
Oh, he
Tunes,
loves
he
it.
loves his tunes.
He loves it.
Him and Luke Randall and
Cutting shapes.
cutting it, still loving it, cutting the rope.
All right. Hey, boys, we need a wee break? Shall we, take a little pause and
Sure.
come and
I don't
reset?
care. It's good.
Sure.
Yeah, conditioner's working like boss in
That
here,
is
man.
good.
Well, I need to do a wee, so let's go and do it.
Let's change the
Let's do it for
batteries.
a minute.
It's colder in here than a fucking witch's toenail.
We can turn that down. So I can keep recording.
I've stopped ironing out my ball sack now.
I don't know. It's pleasant. It's good temperature.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
too hot.
Every time I come back to the Airbnb this week, I've gone, it's another degree down. I come back each night and go, let's put it on 19.
No, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna piss.
I always find it incredible coming back because I've done a few trips away recently.
Yeah.
And you'd be the same coming here when it has
fucking
been a
cool
few
speaking to
years.
Sammy.
You just start coming in and you're like,
We can
holy
fucking-
fuck.
How cool is that?
How
that we can
brown
fucking
is-
catch up and do that.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
just was broken up. It was shit.
Yeah.
Because he's
Yeah.
working at
And-
Ryobi in a fucking box, mate.
No, he's working at home.
Is he?
He's still at home. I'll give him a call now, just on the side.
Yeah, maybe it's in Belgrave. He's just got
Yeah,
shit
could be it.
reception.
Because Sammy's was
Take his fucking walking frame
You
out the top of the
pegging
driveway.
yeah, just take
Just
that
a
peg
peg
off. Here's from Joe's vegetable bags. See you later, lettuce up. She'll get angry with me when she goes, oh, where's my fucking lettuce? See you
I
later.
thought that was when you're crushing the sheep, mate. Is that where that's from?
Get some shot glasses, though.
No, he's hung up on us.
Get some shot glasses. We can start playing a game or something.
Shot glass, fucking hell. Should have ridden Angie's e-bike down here.
And everyone was out, all the staff, well, us lads, was out to christen the place, let's just say.
JT
It got
Cycles had a
christened,
cafe.
alright.
The
You got
first
Did it
cafe
get
in a
christened,
bike
Todd?
shop. Was
yeah.
it not?
Yeah, it was the first box.
Well, it was
Who
the
was-
first one in SA.
In South Australia. And
Yeah.
who was the star of that?
Alex.
Alex. Better than you.
Switzerland.
Every morning you'd come
But
and
on
you'd
the
say, hey,
German
Alex,
side.
how are you?
It's
And
German.
he'd go, better than you. He's a sick football player. I got a
He
football
was
table.
a mad
dude.
football
So I
player.
bought the football table from home into the shop, and it sat in the cafe, and there was like
And
football
taught us a lesson.
competitions.
Yeah.
All day after work, we would have cartons of beer and we would just play football.
We
was-
saw
it was
It was
what
like a
was
recipe.
possible.
No.
It was
We saw
a
what was
recipe for like such good
crazy.
times with
'Cause we could hit the ball,
hyper-competitive, you
and
know,
you hit it
mountain
back and then-
bikers all getting in there together. And
was
it got to the
brutal.
point where, you know, every now and then I reckon there was like a double or nothing
No.
with a customer even, you know.
Yeah,
like,
we had customers. But when we had Dom and the boys
Yeah.
brought their football table, and we
Yes.
had a competition night with 2 sets
In
of
the front-
tables
in the cafe.
Yeah.
And that was when Potsy lost his tooth.
Yeah.
That's right. And there was a few of those occasions, and I know poor old Danny
Putsy.
Webb got done in, and Gladys, if you're on the Panther,
9-0 and you have to run
Yeah.
around with your pants
poor
down.
guys are like head across to the mobile to buy an iced coffee
This
with
is an
their
internal joke. For all of you listening, you probably really don't care about listening to our football exhibitions.
We'll put
but
some photos up of what a
we
football
had-
table is.
Football was good, because the reason we got inspired at football because Alex was so good. We thought, I can
Swiss
play
national
football,
champ.
and then Alex could just
Yeah, well, I
run
had the
rings.
table.
He was like laser.
And when I brought it in, he was real quiet. He'd never say anything. And then he was just like, because he's Euro, right? And that stuff was all, it used to be at the Snow when I was at Falls Creek and at Mount
Yeah.
Buller. You played football, soccer table with the ball, with the rods. And you had to be really, really good at it. And Alex just didn't say nothing. And he got on playing singles and he just whacked everyone.
Yeah,
I beat him
absolutely
once.
smoked
I beat
him.
He
him
was
once in
power.
like 4 or 5 years.
And
It
this
a
was after
highlight of
like
my
when you
football
bought it,
life.
Todd, and you kept it home for 6 months to train up before you brought it in for the rest of us.
Fuck yeah,
so
of
you
course
could
I
start
did.
off ahead.
Matt Sparnan worked for us. He used to come in on a Sunday and
practice.
practice behind the scenes on the table.
Yeah, I know that's all he was doing.
Okay,
anyway.
so
Yeah,
take a
what
step-
else is there going on
Take
now?
a step
Allegedly.
in,
Yeah, allegedly. That's
take
right.
a step into the personality of being competitive. Whether it's football, whether it's racing down a
Riding.
hill,
Yeah.
talks about being
Or
competitive.
just having fun.
Okay.
We took it
why
pretty
do
seriously.
you want to compete, and what's the difference between racing down a hill and just riding down a hill?
Okay, because you're challenging yourself, right? I suppose I was born into racing. I never rode bikes for fun until like afterwards, you know. And then I had kids and learnt how to just chill. But these guys got me into racing, like Trav and that, so quickly. I just knew that racing was going as fast as you can, winning or doing well. Not that I cared about really being the best, just cared about being good at heaps of shit and being okay, you know, being good, having a good time. But racing is just against yourself, really, challenging yourself to do as best you can and having that perfectly fast super run that everything always comes together. That's that addiction and that feeling that feels so sick when you're just going at it. It's like body fast, mind slow, you know what I mean? Everything's going a million miles an hour, but you got to slow everything down. Like Star Wars, you know what I mean? And then you just got to put every corner, you got to remember every rock, you got to remember every gear change out of every corner, you got to remember everything for it to go to right, and it can go wrong so easily because you're like maxing out, right? You get tired and then you stop thinking. And then when your brain fades out like it does on the dance floor at 6 o'clock in the morning and you need to send yourself home, you
Or
pretty
you've gone
much
out
end up
from
in
the
a
dance
tree.
floor to the race,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
So you got to look
Exactly.
second time. Yeah.
You end up in the tree.
I think
With
for
the wombats.
I think for racing, like for me, I was never that great at all, and I enjoyed and loved it, of course. But I love the atmosphere of being out there and racing and watching, you know, Todd, everyone, and even Felix come through. I mean, Yatesy and I went. Yatesy and I went to school together, so we were in the same home group together. So it was quite ironic to see Yatesy come through from BMX then into into my world after years of not, you know, being around in mountain biking. But and the same with Flexer. I went to school with Flexer. He was at Brighton and I was at Mawson. But
And then Flexer came to Seaview.
and then
with
Flexer,
me.
yeah. So, but it was
I
more.
went to school with him too.
I think it was.
SCU.
It was more about you know, watching other people, but having fun. I mean, I always used to think of it for me sponsoring people. The best people that I could ever sponsor were the people that could talk to others and, you know, share like what we're talking about now, like the enjoyment of it. Because I've sponsored top athletes and all that, and they just take. You know, like it's the ones that could, you know, they could come in at everyone's level and talk to whoever.
Because they love it.
And they love it. That's right. I mean, some of the best
Make a connection through their passion for it.
Yeah. And some of the best sponsored riders, I always remember Beryl and Dave Hunt, who were like the president, and she was the secretary of the Adelaide Mountain Bike Club at the time. They were like, you know, probably veterans back when I was 20, and they were the B grade and C grade riders, but they loved it. They talked to everyone. They were always everyone's friend, and the amount of customers they used to send, it same as Angus and Pat, you know, at Club Safari. They just used to send in that many people, that was just crazy because they would talk to everyone and they wouldn't look down to them. They wouldn't treat people any other way. They would just go, yeah, get into it. It's fun. It's great. Look at them. You know, what do we like? Just come out there and have a go. And just look the vibe of it all. And having, you know, we'd have, you know, Fox Creek, the days I would either be blaring away on the microphone, would have music out, that might have Delta out there playing, and he's just come from playing a club, and we'd have everything else flowing on, and it was just great enjoyment. And that was the thing I got out of racing.
It was freestyle, and it wasn't always street legal, and it wasn't all this.
What about you, Jamie? You've gone from a rider, now you're the president of the current club at the moment in South Australia, Inside Line Mountain Bike Club.
Well, I mean, even like I came to mountain bikes pretty late, but what was awesome about it was kind of that close-knit community of everyone who had the same idea of just trying to squeeze every bit out of their bike, every bit out of their run. And so it's kind of like this awesome camaraderie, even though you were competing against everyone else.
Yeah, everyone was
It was
friends.
still a good camaraderie of your mates just going, shit, how fast can we hit that section?
Yeah.
You know, can you hit it faster than me? And I'll follow you when we're training, and you
Or
follow
show me
and
show me how to do it
everyone
faster.
dragged each
No one was
other
ever
up,
dark
right?
because someone was faster than you.
Yeah,
Like,
no
no
one
one
wanted
was
to-
best.
Unless
I'm
it
gonna
was
have
at
to do
Mount
more to
Beauty
beat
and we're
him.
racing the Victorians. Let's be honest. Now, we didn't like the Victorians.
No, I
I
just don't
think
think
we
they
liked
liked us. I just don't think they got us.
They didn't get us. They were
sure
too
they
serious and we were more cultural, let's say.
Especially they found out
There
that
was
Mount Beauty.
on the bike, off the bike.
Well, like, what about that Mount
Hey, we
Beauty?
come back to Potsy and his
So
funk
there might be
music
some
on the
reasons
stereo.
why back in the late 90s they probably didn't like the South Australians. Talk us through some of those nationals events and what happened
Mount
off
Beauty,
the
Trav.
bike.
Nah,
Actually, Zolly had a video show. I remember at one Mount
Catton.
Beauty, you had that
that
video
was the one.
premiere, and we
Yeah.
rocked up, and Trav had firecrackers, and he was throwing them over the bar at the bar staff.
Well, no, I didn't know. That was Holloway.
That's Holloway, okay.
There's probably more than 6 people that had firecrackers.
But we
So,
rocked up and we were
can't name
dressed
names.
up with Potsy, you, me, and we were dressed up.
Yeah, we brought a whole nother level to
it.
what was that movie launch? Was that
We rocked
Descendants?
No, wasn't it one of the overseas ones?
We
No,
were-
no,
No,
it
it
was
was
the
yours.
American one.
It was yours. I'm pretty sure
was.
we put on. So I remember, was it Joe Marshy's girlfriend at the time? Was it? He went out.
Barb.
Barb. That's
Barb.
right, Barb. And then by then, Barb was on the tables going nuts. I'm going, man, this is going another level. Barb's doing that. We're on. So, and then the fireworks started going off, and
Well, the toilets, the wet
I put a
toilets.
fireworks in Craig Jansen's
top
pocket.
Yeah.
And
So
Jansen-
Holloway was throwing the firecrackers over the bar, and
Yeah.
then that's teed off
To all
everything.
you young kids, firecrackers are so much fun.
Yeah.
Right? Get
That's
them
why-
wherever you can.
That's why we'd go racing.
Leave your
Canberra.
phones at home.
Yeah. Leave your phones at home.
Scott Sharples loved
Can't do-
us.
you
He
couldn't
was
do
on the
that today.
pylon on the dance floor, and then he was in the toilets with Marshy sliding all over the floor, which
Yeah.
is in one of your videos.
Yeah.
We turned the taps on and poured water all over the floor, so
Yeah.
everyone that went in the dunnies,
Yeah.
it was like an ice skating rink.
Yeah.
So we just still do dumb shit like that when everyone else was sitting at the tables trying to be all Nicholas
We
Voulios
knew how
pro.
to have fun.
Yeah, that's what
Simple
we're
fun.
about.
We
A
definitely
little bit
were.
of water on the floor.
It's why I
and
got
push
into it,
someone over.
man. I just got into it because the guys were just as much fun. Like, so we were like off the brakes on the bikes, and when we go out at night, we'd be off the brakes as well, pretty much as hard and as fast as we could go. It was like burn the candle at both ends, and that's what I loved. I
Great
loved,
analogy.
yeah, I loved the guys that I hung out with, and it wasn't just like because I like riding bikes with them. It's like because we liked hanging out 24/7 party people, you know.
Well, we
yeah.
worked with each other. We
And
we
worked.
we've worked with each other,
Yeah.
and it
Sammy.
wasn't like a job.
And
And
Potts.
Sammy and Potts, there's many we could rattle off.
Yeah.
And just for a little window there, 2 or 3 years, it was not like a job. Like,
No,
we loved
it wasn't.
everything about everything.
Dude,
We'd
it
go
was a
riding with each
party
other. We
at
get-
work.
on our days off, we'd go riding together. We'd go riding before work.
We would
Dude,
go
we would
riding.
get up Saturday morning, ride from 7 a.m., then go to work, then
Yeah.
catch up and go out and party.
Yeah.
6 a.m., still together.
But
We'd been together.
well, you
Jeez, I
forgot
didn't see my
about
family
Friday
that
night
much.
Flanders when we'd end up at the offshore till many hours, and then
Yeah.
that's when young Chad Gossett didn't come to work when we had a big day the next
But
day.
he was with me,
Speaking
but he
of
didn't know
Chad.
I wasn't working.
and he was in the dunny, and
And he called you. I was with him when he
didn't
called
man
you.
up like the rest of us soldiers and come
Is
in
that
there. And,
man up, or was that when you had the?
I was
the,
with
the
him,
little
Trav.
stealthy. I've organised to have Saturday off, but I'm not going to tell anyone. Flanders.
Yeah, that was me. That was how I rolled.
Flanders, yeah,
the
Flanders.
total stitch up.
He would always.
But it wasn't just us. Like that vibe,
just
and I
said
think
no.
that was such a.
It It was
such a central part of what JT's was then because that infectious vibe went beyond just us that we worked with.
Yeah.
Please leave a message.
Yeah. It was deep.
Come on, Chad. We know
we're
you're
trying to
avoiding
call you.
picking up the feed.
We're just-
He's filtering.
Ears were burning.
Gossett, answer the phone.
Let me know when we can call you.
Or you don't have a
You're
job
fired,
tomorrow.
Gossett.
You're fired.
again.
You're fired, as Donald said.
Sorry.
But
That's
yeah,
an internal joke.
like going back to that vibe that we lived
It was
and
good.
absolute breeze. You know, go the dirt jumps after work
Go
for
the
those
dirt
few
jumps.
years when we're rebuilding those jumps in the
City dirt.
city.
City dirt.
After having been for a big XC ride in the morning,
we were combining
that vibe. You know,
mountain
then we had
bike and
customers
BMX.
coming on those morning rides.
Yeah,
like, let's go for a
customers
big
were
XC
coming
ride.
on. Yeah.
And it was the kids and it was the dads and it was
And
it
Zolly
a
was
real
out on the
community.
road bike.
I remember. I told you.
Zolly out on the road bike.
I've
I've
seen
blanked that out
Zol in,
of my
for all
memory.
you BMX and volatile tragedy. We've
No.
seen Zol in full lycra.
I do not remember that at all.
Neither do I, Zol, so I'm with you, man.
Waxed from head to toe.
I'm
I shave
surprised
my
as
legs
you
every
are.
now and then. Sure, that's all right.
Yeah, he's always been a buff man. I'm very jealous of Zolly's body.
But no, I do not remember riding a road bike. Show me a photo.
All right, we'll get photos up.
There was, like Todd said before, when we didn't have, there was that stage in Pulteney Street in the two smaller stores before the big one, where it was all mountain. Like until we moved to the big one, we didn't do road because even though I was associated with road from before with Nat, who was the head mechanic before Todd. And then even Frank Parker, the one that taught me everything in Hindley Street, and he was a former European sprint champion associated with the AOS and all that sort of stuff. So I then switched over to supporting all the mountain bike and obviously inside line when that started. It's like, well, I didn't say I saw an opportunity here. I would more say I supported what the community was and where the path was because it was the start of mountain biking.
And I think just guessing what you thought was going to be big, you know, you thought this down, like you hit it when Specialized came out with their downhill bikes and stuff, and we were just there, and it was just like it went crazy.
I think I remember that when that FSR DH bike launched with like the junior tip, but we had 18 of them pre-sold before they landed. Like they were 4 grand bikes, and 4 of them went to Mount Buller to buddies, and we sold the rest. But like already before today's world, you wouldn't get. I don't know, Todd. You'd be able to tell me what you do at BE, but you know, pre-selling that many bikes of that level before they even came out.
Yeah, well,
was
it was
unheard of.
the World Cup team, and then it was Sean Palmer. You know, he was just like he came out on Specialized, and then all those bikes came out, and there was like Kurt Verez and all these hitters on these big white downhill Specialized bikes, and all the big hits, and it was just it was a really good, really exciting time to be in biking when you're in downhill, and you just wanted to see all this, like what was going to happen, like
The next thing.
next big
because it was
thing.
new.
And
But Trav,
knew
you were
about
a
it
huge
first.
part of
The kit
that.
was new. The kit was,
for
you
South
know.
Australia, Trav, you would rock up on the Sunday. You would set up the tent.
Yeah,
you would
racing.
have Jack cooking the barbecue. This is Luther would cook ribs.
Luther.
For when mountain biking started,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gold.
you were the biggest supporter of it.
He was doing everything. I came
I
out to
think you
Fox
were.
Creek for my first race, and I saw like, because I knew Gary Patterson when I was skateboarding when I was in school, right? So a long time ago, like 89, 1990, and we skated, and then saw him with mountain biking, like what Trav had seen and said you should get, and all these guys, like Craig Felix was into it. I knew him from school.
Yeah.
And then so all these guys were like, like fully getting into it.
Yeah, they were all getting Tim Simmons and you know, guys that were coming from they're up to other things. Same.
But you had to get up early. You worked in the shop all week,
stay up.
and then Sunday morning's your day off. But Sunday morning you'd get up earlier,
and
you'd set up a tent, you'd set
And
up
there
a
wasn't
barbecue,
a-
you'd
it
set
wasn't
up
a
this
quick
thing,
shade like they
you
are now.
And
That
at
was
the
the
end of the
circus
day,
Yeah.
you packed it up. Like you worked 8 days a week to try and help support and promote this event that was happening, this sport that was happening.
No, it was good. It was. I mean, I think it's a little bit leans me back to the same of seeing, you know, someone ride a bike for the first time, and there was nothing better. And obviously, you get it now with the junior category. But I love seeing the kids that come through. I mean, Luke Radner. Obviously, you think of guys like Troy Brosnan. Obviously, he was just starting when I was leaving Adelaide. But yeah, it's so important for us as an industry to foster those young kids and bring them through. And you never know what they turn out to, another Troy Brosnan. But it was great, and I loved doing it. It was good fun. It was a great vibe, and definitely, you know, guys like Flanderzz and Sammy, I knew outside of bikes before that, and brought them into this world. And Flanderzz is obviously still in it. Sammy's still in it, and Daryl, Daryl's running Canyon Asia Pacific
Daryl
now.
Molyneux, who built
Came
in
full
Horse
circle.
Knolls, who cut. Isn't that called the Pineapple Express? Isn't that his track?
I thought it was called
Molyneux.
We just called it
Molyneux.
I think they've changed the name.
There's a left.
Oh, right.
I don't know if anyone left,
know.
right. There was the left variant with
People that ride in Horse Knolls, I rode there yesterday. It's fucking so scary.
It's good, isn't it?
And
Boulders.
there is really good hard riding.
It's
And
good
Molyneux, Daryl, I don't know if he'd ride down it.
No, he probably
His own
wouldn't. His
track.
two kids
His
would
own
rip it
track.
apart, but he
Yeah.
would take the road. But
I don't think they ever rode that tech drop to left-hander thing.
Another name in the sport that's now 20, 30 years later. Look at where all you guys have come to. I mean, Flanderzz, you're the chief mechanic at Bicycle Express, probably the biggest shop in Adelaide today. I don't know.
one of the
I'm not
biggest
into
shops
it.
in
One of the biggest
Australia, I'll
shops.
let you know that one.
And probably no one knows more about fixing a bike than you do. And you're still loving it.
Yeah, because you see new stuff every day.
Yeah.
You're always learning something every day.
But you also
You can never
you
think
don't
you know
just
everything.
ride bikes. you like challenging yourself in other ways. What else are you doing with yourself?
Just climbing more now. Just I got a family, and it was just easier to go camping and just put yourself in that. I always like I said before, with riding, it was never really necessarily always about the riding. It's about taking you to beautiful places. Like I probably wouldn't have ridden for as long as I did, especially in downhill, if it wasn't for Canada. Like I did a lot of years in Canada, like 20 years on and off, like racing there and just basing myself there in the off season, so endless summer.
And even Flanderzz would work for me, and then I would let him go, all right, well, I'll see you in a few months. So he'd go back over
I'd
there
do
for
3-4
summer.
months.
And it was good. Like, I didn't mind it because we would obviously get a bit slower and he would come
Quiet
back,
in
but he
winter.
was also, get some normal knowledge. He would see something new that's happening and coming through and what's happening. So, yeah, it was cool. And his buddies over there are like my buddies as well. I spent a bit of time with them and keep in touch with them. So, yeah.
Catch up in Vegas.
You
for
made some big
Interbike.
connections over there. You
Yeah,
had
I
some
got
good
to go to
connections
Vegas in Interbike like a whole bunch of times. I got to hang out and live with like pro riders and like Gabe Fox, who's like Canyon and stuff, and he's been with Cove Bikes, and I lived with them, and he lived at my house, and it's just I got two like families, two lives like there and here. There's a Trav and a Norway in Canada, you know what I mean? Same thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. But, yeah, I climb more now just because riding, you sort of
You're
say
Gabe.
goodbye to your family and be like, oh, yeah, I'm gone for 6
Right.
hours. I'll catch you when I'm back when you've got two young kids. But when you go camping and you go climbing, you can take your family with you. And also, just like I said, it takes you to beautiful places. We're lucky to have the Grampians and Arapalis and heaps of good
And it's
stuff
a similar
here.
mindset. You're
Well,
in
it
the
is.
nature.
It's different, right? Like I said, riding's body fast, mind slow, whereas climbing's like all slow. Everything, you've got lots of time to think about
Calculated.
how freaking scared you are and the dumb shit you're doing. Whereas riding was just like, I'm going a billion miles an hour, I'm
Hold
going to
on.
jump Green Hill Road. I'm going to jump over, we're just going to do this. Rock, paper, scissors, we're going. And then afterwards you realise, fuck, I didn't really think of that through very well. Should I have
nailed
really
it,
done
Flanderzz.
that?
Getting
But it
old.
Nailed
shares
it.
that.
Yeah, so you just
Because you did jump
and
Green Hill
things-
Road. You did.
Yeah.
And you made a
and
American
that's
video.
like with racing, you'd be in the start gate. I suppose the best thing about racing is being in the start gate and you hear 10 seconds and then you go, all that I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be rational. At 5 seconds goes
adrenaline
out the
goes.
fucking
Yeah.
window and you just go, I'm fucking going for it. And you just go for everything you've got. That's why I want to be a wombat because you've got to bounce off those trees because I used to find the fine
coming
line
back to
between
that.
staying on and crashing, you know what I mean? So it's the same with going out. You find that fine line between staying on and crashing, you know what I mean?
But that's
You get
what it
better
does
as you get
share with
older.
climbing, though, because I've have done a heap of
You're
climbing
into
over
it.
the
Jamie has
years
too.
as well.
Jamie.
Haven't for a few years now. Obviously, the last 10 years for me has been pretty much biking with the family and Kale, and now involved in the club. But it does share that ultimate focus, right? When you're climbing, you are so present in what you're doing because
Yeah.
like
You
Todd
have to be.
says,
You have to be.
You really have to know exactly what you're doing and am I going to go this way or am I going to pump out and not be able to, continue?
And it's all on you.
Yeah, it is.
It's all about what you can
bit
do.
like downhilling. It is all on what you're doing at that time and you're
You're the
really in
pilot.
this absolute focused state, which is just, really, really awesome state to be in.
There's climbing more with me because it involves like a lot of pricks these days just blame it on the bike. You know what I mean? Oh, my bike, my tuning, and this clicks from open on this. I need this. I need this. I need this. The tires. Whereas climbing's just like a pair of shoes and whatever. You got no one else really to blame but
It's your
yourself.
ability.
Even less gear to
And
blame.
your ability, but
Yeah.
it's still. I love them both, and they go with my family with what we do. They go side by side. We take our bikes everywhere we go climbing, and wherever we go riding, we take our climbing gear. We do it both.
Talk to us, all three of you, just quickly snap on to family. Where are you at, guys, now with family? Quickly just go around the room. Where are you at with family life now? You know, what's your life
Mine's,
situation?
well, actually, Jamie, you're the
Yeah, you
elder
go the
statesman here. You should go first.
So I was about to say Jamie should go first because he's
I
got
think I
the oldest
remember
kids.
your wedding or something like that when the kids were coming out.
Yeah, no. So mine are 16 and 19. So I'm definitely on the other end of that journey. And you know, like
Out
I think
the
I
other
said
side.
to you when we chatted last time, Zol, is like you think to yourself, we do have kids forever, but you know how long that journey is going to be until they hit 17, 18, 19, and you're looking backwards at that time going, especially the last 10 years, just thinking, wow, that went super fast.
Shit, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I think it went fast for us because we did a shitload, you know, with the kids. We travelled when they were young. You know, we got them back to Canada a lot when they were little, which was great because they have a good grounding and, you know, have memories of Canada already.
Awesome.
And then we travelled a bit. We camped a lot with them. I went through another big climbing phase when the kids were kind of, I don't know, 4 to 10 or something like that. And we took them climbing and they liked that. Then once kind of biking started in earnest through a bit of BMX racing down at the Cove, then it hasn't really stopped. It's tapering off a bit now. Kale's 19, still absolutely loves, you know, he is still in my mind's eye the little kid ripping the 12-inch bike at night or whatever, just skidding in the driveway. He's still
First timer.
And you're
absolutely
the proud
loves it.
dad just watching on.
And so he's like, you know, he's pretty independent. He's just midway through working through second season at Medina, and absolutely loves it. I mean, that place is just magical.
Yeah.
Does he ever ask you for guidance or anything? Like, what does he? What happens there at that age, and what do they do? Obviously, being an adult now and so forth. But when did that start and stop?
I mean, it depends because there was still some probably, well, I don't know how useful the guidance was, but there was some guidance coming. But
You're
obviously,
an engineer dad. You're telling him exactly.
no, but there's a different sort of, you know, when they're really young and you're riding with them, it's that kind of guidance.
Yeah.
And slowly the guidance changes over time.
Yeah.
Right now, he's definitely exploring, you know, a lot of stuff. And I mean, he, like you said, he's an adult, he's making
Yeah.
all his own decisions.
Totally.
But we still catch up every week on the phone. And I know he's currently in the process of making some plans to travel this year.
Yeah.
That's something I've done a lot of. So, you know, we'll definitely
Embrace
help
that.
him out and
Yeah.
talk him through my experiences and he'll probably do things a bit smarter than I did when I was
Well,
when I
you've
was
also done a
traveling.
bit of Europe. Like, you've done some serious travel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did sort of travel, and then we did, you know, sports travel and that sort of stuff as well. So he's
For
he's
racing.
seen all that, yeah, for racing.
What about Canada? You reckon he'll go back to the homeland?
He is very much planning to head that way,
Okay.
yeah, this year.
Just to be real clear, Norway's nickname, he's not actually from Norway. Jamie's not. It's a nickname we came up with. His wife is actually Canadian. And so that's why we're talking about
That was-
him
that
getting
was when
back
I
to the
had-
homeland.
more hair. I had more hair. And it was definitely more blonde.
He looks like a Viking.
We did convince some people
kinda
at
come full
JT's
circle.
that he was from Norway. We're like, he's fucking Norwegian. Check that dude out. And they believed it.
He loves the
He was
Samoan.
very blonde.
He loves the Samoan.
But your family, Trav, Flanderzz, where's your family life like now? What's life
Good, man. I've probably got the youngest kids, so 11 and 7, Knox and Hazel, so boy and a girl. And they've been good. It's been, you know, challenging. It's good being a parent, like everything you do, like my riding, and climbing. I want to be good at everything I do, right? So when you get to be a parent, you want to be good at it too and just do it the best that you can. So it's a challenge. It's good but, you know, I've set challenges all my life and I've done some crazy shit. So having kids it's probably something I'd never expected I would do. I think a lot of people didn't expect it from old Flanderzz. But, you know, I managed
always
to
knew
do it.
you were going
I
to
think,
be
yeah, I think he'd be,
I
yeah.
always knew
Yeah.
Flanderzz.
Yeah.
I was just going to Peter Pan it forever on the old magic carpet.
No.
Oh, there was that
no.
too. There was that too.
You can
But
do
oh, don't
both.
worry. It's-
You can do both, can't you?
Yeah,
Zol?
you absolutely can. He's perfect. So, yeah. So, my kids, it's just been great, like moulding them off your experiences. And same thing like Jamie, taking them back to Canada to show
they
them
still
to all
want
my
you.
friends. And
As they get older,
Yeah.
they don't need you so much. It's hard.
yeah, but they
sometimes.
need you more.
No, but that
if you're still a big.
changes though to be more like, I need dad's advice
Different
and mum's
things,
advice.
yeah.
It's more like you can actually go and do things together as a mate or as a slightly different.
Like Jamie would do runs with Kale all the time, you know, get him up to speed. There's a lot of parents, they come in, they don't even know where their kids are riding. So that relationship would probably fall out a lot earlier. Do you know what I mean? Your kid's
Cool
more likely to
relationship.
hang
That's
with
an
you.
awesome
The
relationship
credit
to have.
card
Yeah,
parents.
being more like a mate. Like I take my kids climbing. We multi-pitch with them. We take them everywhere. We do
I
everything.
think a child would like doing what
And my
you're
kids
doing.
just think I'm a
and
big
that's their
kid.
choice. That's their choice.
Yeah.
You can't determine if they like what you're doing or not.
Exactly.
And if it happens to work, that's fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
and then when they want to do something, they like I go do it with them. Like I had Planet kids on the playground, you know. Like I had one kid my kids were playing with, and he said, "Who's this?" And Hazel went, "That's my dad." And the kid just looked at me
that
really
creepy
weird.
dude
Like,
playing with
so
you
why
at
is
the-
this
at the
creepy
playground?
dude playing on the playground with our kids? Because
'Cause
it's
it's
like
fun.
because his parents were,
Yeah.
but that's what I do, right? So I try and
He's not
immerse
a
myself
parent,
in my
he's a
kids'
kid
life
still.
Yeah, I'm still a
as
kid.
much as I can. Yeah, we all are. That's why we're all still friends, man.
And you, Trav, your family life?
My family life is amazing. I think I love being a dad and love imparting as well, being a dad to fellow potential fathers or new fathers. I think
How old's-
my kids, Oscar's 12, and Lexi, my daughter, is 9. And
I'm not going to ask you their birthdays because I
Nah.
sometimes forget mine.
I'm
I
good
had
with
to remember
numbers. I'm good
Hazel's
with
this
numbers.
morning.
I'm good with numbers, but no, I haven't. I think both my wife and I are very liberal in the way we try and let our kids, choose their own path and let them decide what they want to do. So I haven't taken Oscar into, for instance, the mountain biking thing, but we were away camping recently at Christmas and New Year's, and I have got another bike with a motor, and
Electric bike, you can say that here in front
This
of
is
Jamie.
a safe space.
I've my other second e-bike, let's just say. I've had one for a few years, but I said, let's go to a mountain bike park. So I'm not one to push it, but he loved it, and he got the idea, but it was also on an e-bike, so I was sort of probably a little bit, reserved as to probably the response I was after somewhat. But the kids are great. Like they're definitely moulding into, potentially who they're going to be down the track, I feel now. And it's just about giving them freedom to be who they are and what they want to be. A big believer in letting people do what they want to do. I think Oscar, he wants to be a pilot, so I keep nurturing, that aspect of, wanting to fly a plane. I think he got all that from me, obviously flying around a lot and planes and
We
so
did some high
forth.
flying back in the day, didn't we, boys? Can't talk about that, but
Yeah, I spent a lot of time at 48,000 feet.
I was closer to the top of a chicken shed, but
That's it.
it was, the kids are great. I mean, I always say to people that are going to be a parent or any guys, I said, like, and considering we've all had a lot of toys in the shed, I always say it's the best toy in the shed. The kids are awesome to have and to see how they evolve and change. And, you look at your partner or your wife and you start to see, what sort of path they take and what traits they follow, and it is amazing to watch.
They're
that.
great little mirrors. The good bits and the shit bits.
But and I think it just makes you a better person to try and keep guiding them and challenging them at the same time without being a bit of a hard ass, which probably I could have been in the past. But
does it make you look at all of you, at your parents differently when you go, oh, fuck.
stepping back into
They
that
had
realm.
to do that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, totally.
When you catch yourself
Well, I
saying
think
something.
I know Todd for one, and I know Todd's beautiful parents as well, and he had a great set of parents as
Yeah.
well from his upbringing. So I think I
was lucky.
Yeah, for me, it's always a way of. I grew up with basically my mum, and she was a cornerstone. So it was great to be able to impart some of that where you can, and you see the changes in them. But I think it's great to let them choose their own path, because I'm not one to go, you've got to do this. It's like, just go your own way.
Well, that's our job, is to,
That's right.
expose them to a whole bunch of different things and nurture little things here and there.
Yeah.
And then they might figure out, like, actually, maybe riding is not for me. And I'm kind of, in our family, that's kind of, Leith is now really spearing off on his own path.
He likes his
not
fishing.
really interested in racing. Still rides a little bit, but definitely not interested in racing anymore. So he's like, I've started surfing, so that's kind of cool. I haven't surfed in 20 years, so I've gone back and tried to do a few sessions with him. But you're like, yeah, sure, let's go do that. I mean, I'm going to be shit at it, but I'll take you.
Yeah.
I'll flap aroround in the water.
Opportunity is
And,
all it's about,
see
right?
where it
I
takes
can
you.
tell
give 'em a
you,
go.
because my kids are a bit
And
older.
like you say, fishing.
Yeah.
and they
Absolutely
don't
loves
really
it.
want you that 14, 15, 16. They don't really want you much after that. So that's your window.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of your window.
Because it's happened pretty quickly, man. I can say
does.
11 and 7. It's like, I remember when Knox was a baby and I'd be like, come on, let's just get a bit older so we can go riding and we can do this. And now you just, with Hazel, I was just backpedaling, just slow down. And now she's going. She's going to probably overtake Knox when it comes to riding, because she looks like her mum, but she's me. Whereas Knox looks like me, but he's like Lauren, he's a bit more conservative.
Number 2 is always the one that's got the gustos to some degree, I feel, because they look at the older to go, I can take you out.
See, like you look at brothers, like the Mogg brothers, you got the skilled
Doing a
one and
Rowan.
then the other one that's, I'm not going to let you beat me. I'm going to fucking catch up those 2 or 3 years at some point in time. And then
totally.
we're on a
Yeah, my kids are pretty competitive with things like that, for sure. They like, even though they're a few years apart, they still... Well, I try not to push it, that, competitive is everything,
Switch it back to, let's change topics. Something's beep then. Inside Line Mountain Bike Club. I don't know what
Use your
that one is.
GoPros.
Something's gone flat.
Something's gone flat.
Shit, GoPro's going off, mate. This one, she's gone.
That happens.
Inside line.
Let's talk back to the formative years of mountain biking in South Australia as you guys remember it, and some of the personalities that were a part of that. The people, whether it was the racers or the humans that were involved. Who were your memories? Where do they go to?
I mean, like for me, Dazzle, Darren Moore and Carol as well, but there was obviously Shane and
Wendy.
Shane Rogers.
and when it was great. But I mean, I've known Dazzle before Inside Line, and Dazzle was around with the Hellmen, who were the ones that sort of basically cut my teeth into mountain biking, and Gary. So I used to hang out with them, and there was quite a few very familiar faces there, and these were the old hardcore downers when they used to go down the old, Glen Osmond Trail, which was the
Ranger Tim and
way before that. Like, there was some crazy lads.
Like the water bars
The
down
water
that fire
bars,
road.
that's right.
Isn't that where Matt the
Barnsey.
Bastard broke his back?
Well, there was Barnsey before that. He used to work at Super Elliot's that caved his face in down there on the blue metal. But Darren Moore was obviously a huge face. Mott as well, which was a huge face. But there was, Shane and Wendy were probably there in the real formative years to a degree when we started, doing a lot more sponsorship and really elevating it to the next level. Apart from being 1 or 2 races in the year, then we, look at the calendar there that we had there from what Holloway had put together, and there was 6 or 7 races. So that were the starting years. That was, it was pretty cool, and it was the same. Everyone was just putting in to sort of
and
make
this
something.
was 94. The Inside
Yeah,
Line
it was
Mountain Bike Club,
94.
the
Well,
first
those
race
days,
was,
like with Shane and that, you're talking about a sort of late
Later.
into the early
Yeah.
2000s.
It was Dave Mott, I think, was
Dave Mott started the first
was the original
years,
one.
and Gary, and then Scotty. A
Scotty.
few presidents those
Yeah.
first 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, Scotty.
They'd string a few events together.
Yeah.
And then and kids today wouldn't go, oh look, we've got Jamie, you can attest to this. The kids want a good event with shuttles and timing and this
Kids.
and that and all the and hilltop transport, and I need new matching gloves and shoes.
I don't want a timing chip.
I remember the timing was like on radios with stopwatches,
Yeah.
and they would synchronise over the radio
Or
top
phones.
to the bottom.
Maybe.
I'm not kidding you. And then
Pre-phones.
they'd fuck it up so many times.
Yeah.
I ended up making a stopwatch out of a watch and a kill
Yes.
switch, so I could time my own runs because they would sometimes
I
get
remember
wrong.
that. The stopwatch timing
Fuck
runs.
yeah.
Everyone got into that for a while of making their own
You-
stopwatches
yeah.
on their bikes. So you'd time your
time
own
your
runs.
runs.
Like Strava,
Like you'd have
20 years ago.
you'd have an old Seiko stopwatch, and you'd pull apart the button, and then you'd have it
You
there.
put a moto kill switch into
Yeah.
it.
Rewire it.
And you do
Rewire.
it because you never trust if the time you got was really your
Strava.
time.
Yeah.
Because they get distracted and they'd be on every,
Yeah.
I remember it wouldn't have been easy.
But that was the equipment that was around at
Yeah,
the
that
time,
was
you know,
it.
and
There was no
and it
computers.
was, you know, hard yards, and
You had to
geez,
run
I
the
remember
cable.
the
from
cable
top
in
to
the wheelchair.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
It was
the way
Dave
down
Mott,
the track.
and what was it? And it was Iron Fanny. There was-
Beck. Beck. I don't know where the name comes
that
from.
was
but-
that was his girlfriend.
I don't know. I apologise if that's
forget she was a
offensive. I think a lot of people had nicknames in the early days.
Yeah, we had
That
a
was
lot.
With
one.
unknown origins.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say I'm old school. But that were the days of 94. Paddo was obviously a big part of it, but it was like that. You had to be a legit club to then be recognised to then go race at the nationals.
To be professional.
That was you had to be associated. You couldn't just rock up to
Bit
a
of a
nationals.
farce, and even today, I think
Well,
it
in-
still isn't a little bit of a,
Well,
where,
in the early
where does
days-
everything go to? Like, how does it all actually pan out? With
Yeah.
you
I mean,
need to
I was a
register
race
and
director
log
at
in and-
one of the big first national rounds we did at Wollonga. Remember, I had Two Dogs there sponsoring it, and all the beer. We had
Trav.
the band there, and was Martin Whiteley was the head of
good event. That was a proper
AMBA.
fun show.
Yeah, that was
Or
awesome.
cycling, what was it called before that?
It was before Cycling Australia.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it was
yeah.
AMBA, or the Australian Mountain Biking Association.
That's when they turned downhilling from Saturday racing to Sunday because
Yeah.
they didn't want people to party on Saturday night. Isn't that about that time?
Yeah,
We had alcohol sponsors.
Yeah. So you want to do it on a Sunday when no one wants to.
We had bottle
have too
openers that
many
used to
drinks.
open and they'd woof at you. But yeah, Wollonga was definitely, I think, it was the crown jewel of SA at that time, where we had then the Victorians started coming over to then race at Wollonga.
And then how does South
take
Australia
it seriously.
produce
Yeah.
two riders that are incredible on the world stage when Wollonga was our best hill?
Yeah, because they had Anstey's
Had
Hill
3 bends.
And Fox Creek.
and Fox Creek.
And Fox
Yeah.
Creek.
Fox Creek.
What, 300 metres of elevation?
Oh,
and we
if you
produced
did 2 runs.
riders like Troy Brosnan and
Yeah,
Connor.
yeah.
And
Yeah, it is amazing. I think it is proud to be a part of that. To look at what Troy and Connor have both done, to think that it's come from
There's
SA.
also more depth to it as well. I mean, when you scratch beneath the surface, and there were some other guys that went away. You know, Marshy obviously
yeah.
went and did some
Benny
Norvers
Whitlock.
back in the
He
day.
did it early on. Yeah.
Ben
Yeah.
Whitlock,
Yeah.
because that's when
Will,
my first.
Will Rishi, you know, he went to the Worlds
Rishi, yeah.
with the junior team
Yeah.
and spent some years
Yeah.
as a sort of privateer or semi-privateer.
Yeah.
But a lot
I
of
think
times
just
it
riding
was-
with Pivot.
Well, like first crew was Ed Verco and dudes
Quite
like
a
Ben
Flexer.
Whitlock when they went to do Norvers. Craig Felix did. I
Yeah.
did back in the early days before they stopped it. But those guys were before me. But they're the first guys I saw racing was Ben Whitlock at Fox Creek. When we were going back, talk about Trav running the show. It was like a one-man show. He was doing the barbecue, he was doing the commentating, he was doing everything, right?
Yeah.
And then-
it was awesome.
Yeah, so that turned into the Wollonga and Turning Point and
And
just
those people
taking the
kind of
sport more
create the sport.
seriously.
You need someone that stands out
Yeah.
to kind of bring everyone else in, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And that was, I actually bought my first mountain bike off old Shonky O'Shea at Broady, my Diamondback Apex.
Because of Ben.
Well, not because of Ben, but Ben was very young working there then. It would have been 89 or 90 then, and that was the first mountain bike I started. A Diamondback Apex out of 4130 chromo and racing cross country. But those guys were the leaders of selling bikes back then. Was old Broadview Cycles and Ben was it. But Ben was always a lovely guy. Always had time. He had time for everybody. Would talk to everybody and was just a talent. And he was super smooth. And then I'd probably say Marshy sort of came in after Ben
Yeah.
and carried that same attitude on.
Just
Yeah.
good
You know,
people.
like-
When I
just
first started
made it
racing,
accessible,
those
you know?
guys were the guys, like the Marshies and Ben Whitwell was probably, they were moving at some point within those first couple of years out of that scene.
Trials, so I learned his background was trials.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, but well, that's what I mean. He was a sick downhiller, and then when we go to the national events, he'd win the trials events and stuff. And was just so multi-talented.
And then he transitioned from trials to downhill. But he
And
was
then
just
downhill, there was no Bull Rampage. There was no slope style. All the shit that you see guys doing now on mountain bikes. Did you ever see that's where it would go?
No.
Double backflip,
Well,
fucking wind.
we saw a bit of that happening in BC in the North Shore, and the Wade Simmons phenomenon back in that day, starting all that, and it was coming that way. But it was definitely Dean, Rowan, Grant that were starting to pave that for a bit here. Before, I would say, and knowing most of them as well up the East Coast, was well before the dudes in the East Coast were aware of free ride.
Free ride, yeah.
You know, and that was
the North Shore, Vancouver
stuff.
thing that started there.
Definitely. You know, it was Grant would throw himself at anything. You know, he was
Still does.
and he still does. He's an awesome human, and I think it was pretty cool that they were well into that, and then once again pushing the SA envelope into new boundaries. You know, the same as what we've done with the downhilling from years before. Yeah.
And it's still going. I mean, obviously the club is 30 years in now.
Yeah, it's unreal.
And still going strong. I think, there's a big push from the club. I think it's now in its third year of running like a second tier of racing, more like a introductory level of racing.
Right.
And those events have been flat out. Like the first few events of last year, there was something like 100 to 150 kids in each race who had never raced before.
Yeah, that's great.
So like once that sort of bubble of new kids come in, I mean, there's routinely 100 under 15s, 100 under 17s. And then, you usually get that taper off to 17s and 19s once the kids...
And that's what the industry needs to keep pushing, and the clubs need to keep supporting, because if you don't have the kids that keep coming through, and you don't want to make it daunting for those young kids to come in there to a race to go, I can't do it. Just make it easy. I think that's from being around in mountain biking, for so many years. It's like even where I live up on the northern beaches in Sydney, and Manly Dam is the sort of the main ridden trail around Sydney, but it's pretty hard. And Pato Reed developed that when he did that a few years ago, but it's still a bit daunting for most. So you need
don't know where to go,
You
you
need
don't
to
know
have
where to
entry.
start.
You need to have entry riding to grow people through. And I think if you make it too daunting, that's always been the biggest challenge of the cycling industry, whether it's road or mountain, is they've put too many high barriers in front to then get people into the sport. And you got to start them young. You got to nurture them. And at an age of 15, kids are going, what I want to do as a sport. They start to go like this and, move towards the arrow as a person to go, well, this is what I'm going to hone in on. But if you don't make it easier and accommodating for them, you just push them away. So it's great that you're getting
Or they
these
miss
results.
that opportunity. Like the younger kids then miss that opportunity to get a start in mountain biking, get some, or even riding more generally, get some basic skills that they can do more with. And then the clubs, the industry, miss that surge of people coming in.
They
and,
lose.
You get to our age, or even 10 years ago, it's like, well, there's only so much new kit we can buy.
Yeah.
And we need people coming in.
Yeah.
And you bring those kids in, and it can only be good for it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's all gets back to the similar for me of getting people on a bike. Like that's the biggest joy.
Yeah.
Do you guys see the industries bigger, smaller today? Like you've been here a long time. Is it bigger, smaller? Where do you see the
it's
industry
definitely
today?
it's bigger.
You're involved.
It's more accessible. I think. I mean, I deal with it on a global
You're
level,
a high level.
and
You're at the
see it.
grassroots.
Yeah.
You're at the high level.
Yeah.
Do you? Is it about the same? Like,
No,
I mean, there's
it's
different
growing.
reasons for and against.
It's definitely grow. I mean, I think with the evolution of e-bike is a whole nother world because
I love my e-bike. Stuff you, Jamie. Where's this cheering going?
Yeah, I've got two.
Grown at both ends. Like
Can I have another one? Because I've got 2 bikes.
E-bikes, Jamie.
But yeah,
We'll get there one day.
It's grown huge because there's the people that would have given up riding that are now having a midlife crisis and getting back into it, especially during Rona. They bought all their kids' bikes and went, I can't do anything else. You know, riding a bike can be socially distancing.
Yeah.
So they all bought e-bikes so they could keep up with their kids. But then from Jamie's point of view with Inside Line, when I started racing downhill, I don't remember any young kids. I remember just a bunch of loose cats getting into racing. There was no parents with their kids coming along. I was in my 20s, right?
16 was the
18s or Benny A's, whatever. Now it's like the club makes up
8,
mostly
9,
parents
10.
with
the
so
peak
many
of
young
our-
kids, man.
The peak of the membership base is that
Yeah.
early teenager. And, you know, once people, there's a massive drop-off once,
Yeah.
you know, they start
Get a
discovering
license.
four-wheel drives and girls and all that
Yeah,
sort
for
of
sure.
stuff.
Like
Lucky we never did that.
Like
Yeah.
Benny Tregout did.
Ford
He got out of
Escort
downhilling
2.0 gear.
and got into his cars, and they get into that sort of drift spec. But
I think it's so true, Flanderzz. You see it at the retail level. I see it at the bigger level. The company that I work for now, we deal with, with OEM side of it. So like 20, we're always looking 2 to 3 years ahead of the industry and see what the big guys are really doing. And there's a whole new world that's starting to keep developing. Mobility, you know, cars are being sold less in urban centres in Europe now because why do I need a car when I could just get an e-bike or a mobility or an e-scooter even, to be honest? But mobility is changing, so therefore you're creating new pathways into bikes in that space. So it is really good that bikes are becoming more into the fray. A lot of people think, Corona was great for the business. Like, yeah, Corona was great, but the bike industry as a whole is always continually kept growing. You know, it's been challenging for sure with the oversupply after, huge stocks have come in after Corona, but it's still kept growing and people have seen the benefits. And I think now like Flanderzz said, that the health benefit to people that are either older or even younger, or husband rides with wife or wife rides with husband that may not be a rider, well, then now they can ride together as well, because it could have been individual. So there's so many aspects to it that you can do. I mean, you look at Grant's aspect, okay? The guy's obviously ended up in a wheelchair from what he did.
We're talking Grant Allen.
Yeah, but then you look at now he's got a bike that he can still go out there and do what he loves, so...
And introduce that and make that accessible.
This is for people that don't
too.
know. Grant Allen is on a wheelchair. Grant Allen broke his back many moons ago. He was a legend. Big free ride, big gaps, big jumps, biggest, best in the world. Broke his back, still got the best attitude. And now he's introducing people to alternative methods with injuries to keep exercising.
Mate, that's the light we need.
and still rides off-road.
Yeah, harder and faster than I'll ever will. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the benefit of where the industry can go and grow and keep evolving and changing itself. And I think that's what the bike industry does do well. It keeps somewhat reinventing itself.
Is that hard? Because everything, like there's like I was riding yesterday, they've got the electronic gears, but his battery went flat. Like, how do you keep advancing? Can you keep advancing?
Well,
is it just a bike? It's just a bike.
Well, bikes and battery technology and...
I'm an e-biker. I love my e-bike. Jamie's an
There'd
analog.
I mean, like with anything, Zol, as technology does, improve and things change, there'll be a big leap and then incremental change. And then at some point that'll start to peter out and then there'll be another big incremental change. And so...
Evolution.
You look at bike design now, it's not done.
NASA.
It's not done. Something else will come up, and maybe we're going to sit here in 5 years' time and 90% of
hovercraft
bikes are
bike.
gearbox instead of
think
derailleurs.
that is the thing
That's
with the
the
bike
next thing.
industry is...
Gearbox? Who do we call Gearbox?
Well, there's a few of those customers around. But I think the motorbike industry, for one, got pretty set in its ways, and then a lot of people would adopt the same linkage position and they would have the same style and design. The bike industry never goes like that.
Well, now they're going belt drive, though, aren't they?
Well, belt drive's been around for many years.
But they're trying to adopt it.
They're trying to adopt that. But it's sort of like, Norway here could sit in his back shed and then design the next amazing gearbox suspension bike because he's an engineer and a welder and he could do all that stuff and he could then get it to market. Whereas in in the motorbike industry, no chance. But in the bike industry, someone can push the envelope and come up with something amazing. I mean, you look at the high chain line bikes now that are coming out and downhill.
That's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's pretty popular, and that's another thing. And that stuff was around years ago.
Adelaide design that has ended up on a few frames. From Hugh.
Hugh, Adelaide bloke.
So there's that stuff. I mean, Honda did it years ago with Manar, with the gearbox bike, and tried all that. So
for suspension technology,
it spins around, and comes back at you, and so forth. But they were the things that the great thing is we'll just keep pushing those boundaries and keep changing it.
All right, that's enough of that technical stuff. That's boring. Let's talk about more of the fun stuff.
Off the bike,
off the break.
What used to happen at Saturday, 4 o'clock?
Car park runs.
Trav
I don't
Visa.
know. Tell us. Who are some of our best customers in the shop? What was good about working in the shop?
Well,
we worked together.
I reckon Moose and his merry friends from out there at the RAF base were pretty cool, though. The boys that
Moosey could chug
he could chug a half yard pretty hard, and they would have some pretty reasonable pockets. But when you think about bikes now, I always go back to his name escapes me now. I think it was Craig, and we built the Tomac 204.
Yeah, Craig.
Craig.
Yeah,
and
I built his Tomac.
And then we had the nightmares building that bike. That was
the first Tomac.
That was the Tomac 204.
Yeah.
We put Monster Tees on it. We put Hope 4 pots, which were the first time.
Give me the bling and nothing worked together.
And it was like, it was
just chain device, MRP chain line scenario that you couldn't talk to anyone because no one had built one here before.
There was that Flanderzz, but I remember, I was then off to go into Las Vegas to Interbike then at the time, so I went to go and meet John Tomac and Doug Bradbury. Who was
that the one we went?
No. It was
when you won the pumping one?
It could have been the one with Pato and that.
Yeah.
But, and I went to, and we were having these nightmares because the eyelets for the brake guidelines for the hydro lines were for Magura because they were sponsored by Magura. So they'd made these tight, and Magura used to have a pretty tight, hard, rigid hydro line. And I was like, and Flanderzz had to sit there and like get a little tiny like pencil file and
file the hole out
and then duct tape up the
hopes.
bike so you wouldn't scratch the frame, and then file out every eyelet that the hydro line went through. So that was a nightmare. That bike back then was in about 90, I reckon 8 or 9, something like that. That was an $18,500 sale.
Was the most expensive downhill bike I'd ever heard of at the time.
That was through the roof. And then I went and fronted up to John Tomac. And for those that don't know, John Tomac was basically, he was the first downhill winner in 1990, I think, at Durango, and he cross-country as well.
He was like a Triple Crown guy. He would win the XC, the downhill, and the slalom.
Yeah, and Doug Bradbury invented Manitou.
John Tomac, if you're listening, I'll be really impressed.
Cheers,
Eli Tomac, you're a legend.
The motocross.
That won't happen.
But, I said to him, and I went up to him and went, guys, what are you doing with your bike, man? Like, seriously, we can't even put, like, Hope lines through. Oh, yeah, well, we're sponsored by Magura. We've designed them to fit Magura. I'm like,
they designed them for the team.
Oh, great. You've designed a product just to fit one thing.
But you've put it into mass production.
And then we even had issues. We put SRAM on the bike, and they were only sponsored by Shimano. Shout out to Rob Eva. And so,
Rob Eva was a good bloke.
Top Aussie bloke. Everyone go to Warburton.
Yep.
But yeah, it was crazy to think of that bike back then, like that many years ago and that much. I don't know, Flanderzz, you see what's getting sold these days. How much are downhill bikes now?
Same. Well, no, I don't see many downhill bikes now, but the average price of a bike is ridiculous
12,
now.
10 or 12.
See a Santa Cruz or you see a Tracker, you see something that's
Is there a
10,
shift
12,
on the shop floor? Is there a shift to what people are buying more today than 10 years ago? Of
course,
we're talking
e-bikes.
2007, 2008, 2006, we were at JT.
Even when we were at
25
JTs.
Okay, tons of bikes weren't even invented.
The type of bike you're selling.
So we had a XC bike. You had a downhill bike, and you had
BMX.
Yeah, had BMXs and stuff. Now there's like 5 different
They all
types of
Cyclocross.
road bike.
They
There's
all
gravel,
overlap.
there's cyclocross, there's
Electric cyclocross.
comfort, there's crit racing bikes,
that's
and then there's
Electrically saw
So
some on the
many
weekend. That's for you guys, electric cyclocross.
E-road.
and then there's just everything. You know, downhill bikes aren't
Sorry,
so popular
I got carried
because
away then.
Well, they don't
enduro
need to
came
be.
along. Enduro racing was never
Mountain bikes
invented.
are like
you
way
know.
more capable now.
Yeah, so now
Enduro's
they've got the enduro bike which can do
Yeah.
everything. You
Yeah.
can ride it as a trail ride bike and you can downhill on it. So they've kind of taken over.
Shout out to Cannon.
Yeah.
Or your e-enduro, Zol.
E anything.
E-spectral.
anything.
Spectral
You get the-
e-bike.
You get
Thank
the
you,
song
Daryl.
and the dance for the e-bike. Sorry, Todd, keep talking.
There's
Shout out to Potsy for a bit of funk music.
We'll try and call
Get him
him
back
again.
on the phone, yeah.
Scratching.
Get a bit of Curtis
sorry.
Mayfield.
We're asking about what sells today. What bikes are most? What's the most popular bike that goes? to
The most
shop?
popular bike.
Yeah, the
the
type of
coolest bike.
No, not the coolest. What's the what's
direction
most,
where it's going?
What the most people kind of what goes out
Well-
the shop? Is it road? Is it mountain bike? Is it cyclocross? Is it
The
kids'
reason, well,
bikes?
I'll give you my view, and Flanderzz would be great to hear your view because I suppose I see a little bit higher, bigger, but you know the view of where the big brands are moving towards is definitely the gravel bike is where it's going. They feel that the gravel obviously turn
good
roll,
mix of
handlebars, you know, fat tires. It'll, you know, back in the day when we were all into it, and then from road bike came the flat handlebar bike. So it was obviously a
So
72
now
wheel.
we had the flat bar roadie. Now we're going to have the curved bar mountain bike.
Yeah, so it'll be the curb, yeah, the mountain bike to an extent is where they see the growth. So someone that still wants to travel a bit, still wants to go away maybe for the weekend, they want a 40 mil wide tire instead of something
There's a bit of
narrow.
that touring is popular as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the credit card touring, the gravel packing, and so forth is the way. So definitely that is probably the biggest segment. It's where they're all moving towards, the big brands, and what they see as the future development of it all. You know, analog bikes is definitely coming more niche.
That's you, Jamie.
No, that was the wrong one.
Dinosaurs.
You wanted to get the
analog.
So you got my number. You can call me. It's any time you want to talk about things. So Zol and I'll get.
That's the one you were looking for.
I'll get Zol. We'll do a FaceTime.
right, we'll be fine.
But yeah, I think, you know, the analog thing is niche, which is cool because even the big companies even look at road to tell you that is niche. You know, road is, you know, obviously somewhat quite big here in SA with things like the Tour Down Under and so forth. But as globally now, road is becoming a bit more niche. Obviously, e-commuter bikes is quite huge, and e-mountain bike is quite huge in certain countries as well. But where they see the future is gravel is going to be, you know, gravel and gravel E, which is your e-bikes, is where it's going to start to grow. So people using it for that urban use, people using it, they might be a road rider, but they want to go away in their dirt times where they're going to use their
You seen
gravel
that
bike.
through the shop, Flanderzz? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, gravel. It's just
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Just thought it's just something new and it's popular and it's a versatile bike that can sort of do everything, not
All
necessarily
right,
an
well, that's
e-bike.
enough talking about that.
Yeah,
That's enough
shut
about
that
that.
down.
Anyway.
Shut it
All
down.
right.
Shut it
Back to
down.
mountain biking. All right.
Goddamn mountain
Yeah,
bikers.
sorry, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why we
Mountain
came in.
biking. Yes.
This is why we started.
No, I
This is
just
what we-
think because it's popular. It's like a thing that's new. Everyone likes something new. E-bikes to people are relatively new too, and also brands like Santa Cruz is huge at the moment here. It's just popular, man. Everyone gets them and then everyone follows it. It's like a Kathmandu jacket or a pair of white sneakers, man.
Or
Do you
the-
know what I mean?
jacket, that-
The Adelaide
it's seriously,
Work Boot,
I
the
see that
RM
fashion.
Williams.
Fashion is not just clothing. It's like bikes. It's like gravel is fashionable, but it will fall out of fashion at some
Isn't it
stage.
Are you
Kathmandu
guys into
vest?
that? Are you guys into fashion about stuff? Or I mean,
we are-
Trev,
we
you're
are all
obviously
high
not.
fashion.
Yeah,
You're obviously
this
not.
is us from Palm Springs, baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm reliving my youth right here.
Yes. No, that's a
And
great shirt. I
the
love
cat-
colourful shirts. I'm all for that.
Yeah,
But
bring it back.
I mean, it happens in the bike industry
Yeah.
because someone will want to do something different with the bike, and then that niche kind of expands. And
It is. It's
And
like
people love
the
another
industry
bike in the
has
quiver,
to do
you know?
something different to,
Yeah.
to propel itself, and they have to then create a new genre
Segment,
as such
yeah.
within that space, and that's what the bike brands do. I mean, that was my point of view. I suppose what I see with working.
But
with the
mountain
big-
biking downhill to us, it led to riding. You enjoyed that part of it, and then you performed a race. Are you saying that cyclocross, everyone's going to like it that much that everyone's
I
going to
wouldn't
want to
call
do
it cyclocross, though,
racing?
Zol. I'd call it gravel riding.
Gravel,
So it's more...
It's recreational.
Yeah, it's recreational.
But isn't there a competitive element to that? Like,
Competitive gravel races.
There is to a degree, but the gravel riding is like, let's go and ride the Flinders,
It's
the
a
Mawson Trail
lifestyle
of the Flinders
bike,
Ranges. You know, let's go away for the weekend and do something like, Todd's a great mountain biker and you want to go away with his wife. It's like, we could do a gravel ride because...
well, Marshy's done Japan, and
Exactly.
they pack their gear, and they're travelling cheaply and slow and seeing beautiful countryside
Exactly.
Well,
at a slower pace.
It's a slightly more modern version that the bike industry have turned, of cycle touring. You know, we all used to go cycle touring in different parts, but this is like, cool, now you can cycle tour like this.
Yeah, with a bit
And,
more...
the bikes
a
work
better
a
bike.
bit better. Exactly, yeah.
Fatter tyres, more control.
More comfortable.
Safer, more... Exactly, better
Whereas
control.
we just put slicks on our mountain bike and it was on the super rigid 7,000 aluminium frame. It was hard work.
Yeah, but that to a degree. But I think, even for us, being a bit of a downhill background, we would probably prefer flow and trail riding now. Nice flow, easy. It's like riding A-line at Whistler. You're like, bang, jump, bang, like no open trails. It's not like, like you would prefer to do
it's
that.
a feel-good style
I
of trail,
always like
you
that.
know?
I always like that.
I still
I
love a
rode
bit of that.
hostels yesterday. I was scared of shit, and it was so good.
That's why enduro bikes are so popular. They can just
Exactly.
do everything in mountain biking. And if they're not, you get a lower travel bike, just put bigger forks on it. And people are doing lots of things like that now, depending on where they're going riding. If you're riding Adelaide, you can just get away with something, not a Slash or say Trek Slash or Santa Cruz sort of thing. You can have a lower travel bike.
Yeah.
Keep the challenge up.
Yeah.
So you guys, all three of you are still heavily involved in bikes. Trav, you are you are quite high up in, tell us where you're at.
I'm
really
at
quick.
Nog. Nog's a design company out of
Big
Melbourne.
company. Sounds impressive.
Yeah,
Sounds impressive.
It's sort of like Nog
Jamie,
and Nog, but yeah.
You are the president of the Inside Live Mountain Bike Club. Todd, you are the head mechanic in probably one of the biggest and best shops in Adelaide,
Australia. It's up there.
What floats your boat to keep involved? You obviously love it. Like, why?
Oh, well, I'll start off again. Me, I think for me, from being at that retail level and working with all you awesome people, is that, and then I did that for, what it was, the best part of 16, 17 years, and owned JTs from when I was, a partner of JTs since I was 21. And then went into distribution. So I got to be a distributor of obviously then selling to the bike shops and so forth. And now I'm a brand. So now I'm a brand and I'm the director of sales for that and obviously have input into that. We're a design and engineering company out of Melbourne. So we get to, it's awesome being working for an Australian company and actually taking influence from the markets globally and even here. And then working in with the teams that we have there to develop products and see that come to. But nothing better for me, I suppose, from the sales side is that I work in with distributors and I can impart my knowledge of being a retailer, being a distributor, and then now I'm with a brand. So I can sympathise and understand what they all go through. And that sort of, it's a little bit back to that point of me then helping out the young cyclist or the cyclist coming into the shop to get them going. I can now help that the same thing with the distributor. I can go, I understand what you go through dealing with the retailer. So that's what keeps me going is to that relationship part, but also at Nog, we are amazing. Like, I'll be honest with what we design and develop as a team. We're global, international, award-winning design company. We've got amazing people that work for us, and it's great. Like, to work, not as a distributor, but work for an Australian brand that's doing great things on the world, sort of channel as far as bikes go. It's really cool to be a part of that, and I can help influence that. So
Very
that's
satisfying.
Yeah, it's satisfying, and I think it's I'm very fortunate.
That's part of your life.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate. I think what you say at best of do what you love what you do, and that's what I keep doing.
Live it, dream it.
Yeah.
Jamie, why?
Why am I still involved? Well, I mean, we're still involved because, I still like to ride. And I mean, the last few years have probably been a lot less about my riding and things do change. But what I do love about being involved with the club is pretty similar to what you're talking about before, like selling that young kid a tool to go out and have fun. You know, I love being part of that mountain bike community where we do put on, you know, Inside Line's always put on good events.
Yeah,
And over the last
totally.
5 years of travelling interstate a lot, I mean, we've done, you know, dozens of interstate races over the last 5 or 8 years. And, you know, to travel to those places and people will talk about, shit, Adelaide puts on good events.
It's
you know,
community.
We
it's
want to
like-
come.
Yeah.
And so being able to just be part of that and give back and know that, I mean, it is hard work for sure, but know that the work that you're doing goes into making events great, and all of these kids that we're talking about getting into the sport
Pathways.
really enjoy it. You know,
Yeah.
parents are getting out there and riding at the events as well. And so, you know, I love the machine of an event going well. You know, I love to see an event over 2 or 3 days. You know, we've run a couple of national races. The last 3 years we've run national races and they've gone really well. And so it is, again, super satisfying to see them go well and to know that a lot of people, 200 riders, had a good weekend, got a lot out of that event because you've been involved.
And the Victorians used to come here. I remember that with Catton in the early day, and Phil's a good mate of mine. Phil Catton, for those that don't know, is an awesome mountain biker that's from Victoria that's done very well.
Got a good go-karter too, if my own memory is from back in the day. Is
He's
that
a
right?
On the streets of beauty.
Yeah,
Mount Beauty
he
specialist.
did all right, and he was a bit of a pyromaniac at the same time. But
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah, definitely. I think Victorians used to come across and go, "Man, you guys just have fun. Like you bring the fun element to racing, and it's not just about a wall." Which before, and you'd go to some states, and I even see that a bit in New South Wales where I'm at the moment, when you see it, and it's just, the egos get in front of their ability by far, and therefore they also don't, they're just not welcoming enough. Like where we would always, as South Australians, I feel, and Inside Line also, that we would always be welcome to, like, everyone, let's have a go and just have fun and enjoy it. And we would be able to get up on the stage and, celebrate the wins and the losses of whoever, but we'd go and have fun, and then we'd all go have a beer afterwards, It would be awesome.
That was the big thing.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Tom,
Having fun
you?
and helping others.
Why do I still do it?
Yeah,
Why do
why?
I still love it?
Why? You're still involved. You do
I'm
this
still
every day.
involved.
Yeah, every day you do this.
Because I love mechanics, because I do love bikes. I kind of love the memories I have for what we've just been talking about over my time. That's sort of made a big difference in my life. And I just think that, I can tell some stories like we've been telling and pass it on to other people that maybe they can, do that as well and just, work on bikes and learn about the latest technology. And then, like I said, I tell stories all the time about, back in the day in the old workshop, and back in the day we used to work on cantilever brakes and we used to do all this old stuff, because kids see all the new stuff today and there's a lot of history to it, and it's really good to have been there from the early days and be able to
what
be
really-
someone.
You enjoy that, but
Yeah.
like in your, I'm sure it shits you off. I'm sure you don't want to fucking
Nah,
fix
you'd be a
someone
Mechanics
that
is a
busted
hard
fucking-
job.
I
It's
imagine
hard.
it would shit you off a lot of days.
I love it because
And
it's a
if-
challenge to fix things that, everything's different all the time. It's not always the same. It's not repetitive. It's not Groundhog Day. You're not doing the same thing. And I've got 5 or 6 mechanics in my workshop every day that are doing different things all the time, and it's problem solving. And it's not easy these days. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of computers and connecting stuff up and electrics or just, mechanical, Bluetooth, wireless technology.
Always
apps.
new stuff.
Mate, it's
Always
crazy.
something.
It's never, ever, ever boring. And just to be able to keep learning new stuff. Every time I go to work, I know I'm going to learn something new, and it's going to be I'm lucky it's in a fun, not as loose and as fun as what JT's used to be, but my work
was
is
a bit
definitely.
older.
There was
We're a
always
bit older now.
boundaries.
Yeah, there's my
People
work
got
is.
fired in my office.
Yeah.
We saw those boundaries.
Well,
so
they're
fast.
boundaries.
I mean, like it is with racing now and Inside Line, everything's way more professional now than
Yeah.
how loose it was when we started in my work environment. There's a lot more.
No more alcohol sponsors.
Yeah, there's a lot more things at stake, and so you try and be a bit more professional and pass it on to the people I'm training and teach them as much as I can about the history. I think that's the really cool thing, is when kids get into it and want to learn to be bike mechanics, you teach them that there's this real awesome history in the past.
It is the
That's a
whole
skill.
in the
It's a
industry.
skill.
It is, like globally, I mean, there's probably...
I couldn't fix a bike for fucking shit, and you all know that. I need people like you. I need fucking people like
you
you.
barely oil a chain or put air in the tube.
What's oil?
So what are you talking
What's oil?
But there's
I
really
put that
only
on my
like
barbecue.
to Flanderzz' point. There's really only places like the UK that probably invest into mechanic training to then have that, and it is a sad part of the industry. It's sort of like, if you're a hairdresser, well, you got to go and do an apprenticeship to cut people's hair.
Been pretty self-taught and
it's
peer-taught.
It's a self-taught, sort of channel to a degree. But I think personally, I always feel there should be more structure in Todd's world with getting hold of mechanics and traineeships and showing a pathway, because it is, and it's a safety object. Like, it's got to be. People, I see people now when I go down there with my kids to the BMX track or the ride track or wherever. I was at a mountain bike park at Narooma the other day, and I said to the guy, I said, mate, your forks run back the front and your brakes are going because I would.
I was at the 2 a.m. at Dad Christmas build.
Dad's build the bike, but that's the shocking part, and that's the reality that we're dealing with. That should be sort of structured and turned into an industry, and to show,
Don't
because
buy it from Big W. Buy it from a bike shop.
Yeah, there's a ton of kids that would love to probably go through what Todd knows to then know I'm an accredited mechanic. Well, now I'm going to go and work where I want to work or go somewhere.
Trade.
Well, also bikes are way more complicated. The technology is more complex than it was 25 years ago. So where you probably had a lot more latitude to have more of those self-taught mechanics.
Yeah.
Now, like you get someone that doesn't know what they're doing and messes up a set of
like me.
brakes or something.
There's
Imagine
YouTube. There was no
Imagine me
YouTube
coming
when
into
I
your
was a
shop.
kid.
There was
As
no
an
YouTube,
adult.
yeah.
Zolly
So
worked
when
when
I
you're like,
started-
no, there's no
Full-grown
coverage here
adult.
with Zolly.
As a mechanic.
It's expensive kit that will get fucked up and people will
Well, they
be
do
crashing.
it.
And
It's like I said, they watch you. Oh, I watched a YouTube video and then I had a crack and now I've completely fucked it up. And we're talking about these
or
bikes
I've ragged my brains out
that
because I
are
have
10,
no idea what I'm
15
doing.
grand.
Hey,
their
I'm
parents-
sorry. I need to go and do a wee again.
Yeah.
Can we pause? I think the
I'll
cameras are flatting.
I'll pass the bottle under
We
the
need
table
to-
for you, Zol. Just fill that up.
I've just been weighing on the floor.
I just peed
That
in your
one stopped.
rescue.
I think I put that SD card stopped. A couple of them have stopped. The
Oh,
audio's
so
still. We're still got
nothing's been
audio.
recording for the last 20 minutes.
Audio's been recording. Video hasn't.
Oh, funny.
Fuck. I have to get my other beer out.
I'm fucking
And
five
then
tens
we'll-
in.
we'll
We'll get the
quit-
fireball on going now.
Yes.
Can we-
Oh, I was shot glasses.
Oh, no, you're not going to shut him up now.
Can we ramp it up?
Yeah.
You got to turn the aircon down too.
Is it too
Nah,
cold?
down.
Is
Nah.
it too cold?
Dude, it's right on me. I was fucking
Freezing your nuts off.
Yeah.
Real well.
Oh, it's nice out here.
Out, and they had the fireball keggy thing
keg.
and the tap behind the bar. I was like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole
It
thing.
used to be like, no one even, we had to bring it back.
Full like liquor BC.
Yeah.
BC
Yeah,
liquor.
yeah.
You'd go through the checkout and there would be all
BC
these
liquor,
little
that's
hip
it.
flasks, and it would be like $5 for a little hipper of like whatever, and you just be like, why don't I
And then
get
we
one?
got on the Crown Royale.
We're back.
Oh,
We're
Crown
back.
Royal.
All right,
Pour us a shot, Trav. Come on.
All right, slide them down.
Here we go.
There we
Keep
go.
it real.
What are we drinking here?
This is what we do.
We're going to do a ring of fire with these.
Ah.
All right.
We could do a ring of fire.
These
with a
will
fire.
actually catch fire.
Here's all.
Catch fire. I don't know. Most of my cameras have died. The lenses, we have audio. There is a bit of video.
I like these little
Oh,
shot glasses.
Yeah,
They're
they're the
nice.
world's
That's flat.
smallest
Everything's
They
lenses
are.
I've
It's
ever
a, it's a
seen.
good idea.
Is this really a shot?
I'll
Or
record
is
it
this
from
the,
my
like
phone
a,
and that way.
This is where you put in your eye.
The
and have a
dribble.
shot after this.
All right, shots. Cheers, boys.
Cheers,
Happy
Al.
reunion day.
Good to see
Good
you.
to fucking
to see
get
you.
us
All
guys
right.
together. Get the band together.
Get the band
Yeah.
back
Get the
together.
band
Oh,
back
it takes
together.
me back.
All right,
Don't do
that's
this
shot
at home.
one.
Don't do this
Oh,
at
that's
home.
so small. You may as well pour another one
No,
straight
it's
away.
All right, pass them back.
They're only little.
This reminds me of the old
I'm just
BC
making
liquor
sure-
checkout.
Oh, yeah.
I'm telling you that it's a real thing, all right? That was what that was.
I reckon every party I went to in Canada, someone had a hit flask bottle of this
Yeah.
stuff.
Or the night ended with a couple of those to
Keep
get you
it in the
warmed up.
freezer too,
Little
right,
nightcap.
Flanders?
Yeah,
That was
absolutely.
nice and cool,
that's-
especially when you're in the snow.
I was bringing this
Bit
back
like
in
in
my
here.
suitcase. That's why they call me suitcase distribution. It was like sombrio gear and
Oh,
fireballs.
I just spilled it all over me because we could do another episode on that one.
Suitcase
I told you the shot
distribution.
glasses were real small.
Look, unfortunately,
Postcard
we
from the
are
edge, eh?
actually this is we're 2.5 hours in, so
No way.
we're probably. We had a break in there. Cameras are going flat. Stuff
Pass them
isn't
back.
failing. We're
No
in
one's
the
going to be paying
we're
any
in the home
attention
straight.
anymore.
Yeah, the
This
world's
is
longest podcast.
the fourth quarter of a third quarter
This is
game.
the fifth quarter.
We're on-
yeah.
it's a 5 series.
Great to have you boys here. We'll have another shot. We may as well have another one. Well, we're just we're so small. We haven't even touched the sides.
Fuck, I got to drive.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
Cheers.
Anyway,
That's all right.
We'll switch this bit out.
We will sit around for a few hours.
Yep. Cheers.
Oh, Zol, what's
No
happening
way.
here?
You all right? Oh, my God.
You want
Zol, I don't know if
the
he's choking or he's laughing.
The rookie.
What the hell happened there?
He never could handle his alcohol, Zol, could he? He was always a bit...
breathed at the wrong time.
No. I thought that was Chad with tequila.
Yeah, he couldn't.
But he was always the instigator of the tequila. But it would end up getting him in the end.
Where is Gossip? Get hold of him again. Try him again.
Let's try him again.
But
Once
I don't know
get
if I
these
really
tears
want to
out.
drink. I don't know if I want to drink mine now
Why?
after seeing that. Jesus.
I just breathed at the wrong time. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Knock, knock.
My Japanese distributors love fire.
We are going to go for last little bit. Let's try and call Chad. And then we're going to be inspiring for this last bit.
Inspiring.
I don't know.
Let's
Ring
see
of
if
fire.
Chad can.
Chad Gossett.
Help
He's
us with
inspiring. He's the guy with the world's biggest forehead, isn't he?
I don't know, my forehead's getting pretty big now. Yours gotten pretty big there too.
Yeah. I can see that.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, this is Chad JPS. Your message.
That's a fake call.
That's a
That
fake
was-
one.
He's
That's
really
him.
there. I think he's really there. Fuck you, Chad. Fucking answer your phone. Oh, it's the bloody fireball stalking.
Do another
All
one's
right.
off.
Anyways,
No,
You'd
it's
like
just us.
that.
Just us.
No
we
one's coming
tried.
to save
he
us.
knows
I've-
better, man. He knows better.
We're on the home straight now. We're looking at the
Yeah,
finish
good,
line.
a good Chad is out.
Oh man, this has been so awesome to actually catch up with you guys. Just honest from my heart. Like it really is good to have us to speak to Sammy before and just to share a minute of some good times we had together. They were a long time ago. It was.
Can we talk about their beer bongs?
Yeah,
Suppose it's been a
definitely.
long time coming, hey?
Well, it's sort of, we
haven't-
could talk about there was a bit of an extension to foosball, and then it was the beer bongs,
bongs,
and the ring of fire.
And yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know we're just trying to get Gossett on board, but I just wanted to let you know. I think I share a very humble moment with Chad. I think it was nearly Christmas Eve or before in the old JTs, and we're obviously getting a little bit over dealing with our inspiring customers. But we would sit. Remember, we had the sliding door.
I'll keep it close there. Keep
Yeah,
it.
keep
The
speaking
sliding
to the mic,
door,
mate.
the sliding door between the shop and the workshop at the old JTs.
The
before
warehouse
we went-
workshop.
Yeah, the warehouse, the sweatshop, and we had a little bit of let's just say a plethora of Cooper's Ale there. Shout out to Cooper's.
Sponsors. Yep.
Cooper's.
We had a fridge in the workshop.
Yeah, and we had the beer bong, and Todd had brought back from his Canadian
Canada,
friends
big
the-
ups to
yeah.
Dave Watson,
Dave Watson.
and Gabe Fox,
Yeah.
and a few of the other boys
We-
that instigated that at a party.
What is a beer bong?
A beer bong
I
was
tried
an
to find one
apparatus.
to bring with us.
It's a plastic tube that fits over the top of
So it's
a
like a
glass
snorkel.
beer bottle, and it has a little L shape with a tube that runs down the center of that to the bottom of the beer bottle.
Breather
So when
tube.
you flip it upside down, the air, there's no vacuum, so it doesn't bubble. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
just air
it
in
just-
beer.
My eldest daughter's
air in, beer
boyfriend
out.
Yeah.
has imported beer bongs. His
Imported
brand is
them?
Rancho,
Like
and he's got
pro
a
ones.
digital one with a digital timer, and it can
God,
time.
that would be
And
cool.
I
No,
saw
no,
it
so-
for the
for
Olympics
later.
of beer bongs.
yes.
So
Flanderzz, hear that?
ours was a
Rancho.
ours was a whiteboard. And
That's for you, Hunter.
And 3 people had to
Yeah.
use stopwatches so you get a good average.
Yeah.
And we had a whiteboard.
It was
but
serious.
I
This
heard
is
about
what
the
what
digital
Todd's
ones.
saying is that 4 o'clock. Because if you remember, we
Saturday, 4
also
o'clock.
because it was such a
10
great
to
place,
4.
customers would bring us beer, right? Especially if we squeezed in a quick flat tire
that
repair
was
or
for
something
MacGyver
like that, right?
fees. That was MacGyver fees.
And
Well,
Saturday was 10
coming
till
into
4,
Christmas
wasn't
time.
it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, Saturday was 10 to 4.
So we would go do
at
the
4
bunch
o'clock,
rides to Outer Harbour,
Yep,
come
yep,
back,
smash
work the
ourselves.
whole
Smash
day,
ourselves. Yeah.
and then we'd beer bong at
6
4
hour
o'clock.
shifts.
And
How
so-
good are 6 hour shifts, mate? You don't do 6 hour shifts now at BE, do you? See?
And a beer bong,
Revolutionary.
for all of you listening,
So clear the whiteboard of all the jobs.
You could literally drink just a simple stubble glass bottle of beer. Cooper's Pale was
300.
generally
Cooper's
the-
Pale
Okay.
Stubby.
All right, so
A
most crew would
second
have
to
a
2
knockoff
seconds.
drink after work, have one drink with their mates. That's in a normal world. Ours was like
We
I
had a
said, we
way
were
better
off the
world than
brakes.
that.
We didn't have any brakes. We were like, what can we do? How can we accelerate this? So the beer bong was like a board with who could do the fastest time.
Yeah.
But you had a
Again, the
carton of beers.
competitive nature.
Everyone had a competitive race nature, right?
It's like
Totally
went from
is.
foosball to beer.
Doesn't matter
Football,
what.
beer bongs.
Downhill mountain bike racing, drinking beer.
So you do
Who
it
can
for
do
your-
it faster?
So you'd always do a couple warm ups, like your warm up laps on a downhill track. You get to know the track. You get to know the beer bong. You'd have the beer at
You
the
get to know the beer
perfect
bong.
temperature.
Yeah.
Couldn't be too cold or give you ice cream headache.
Oh, yeah.
Then you'd go for your race run, which was you'd go ready
Yeah.
with the clocks, 3 people timing.
You need a couple
and you
in.
take your shot.
Yeah, you need to be a
Danny-
couple in. Danny
Like,
Webb.
yeah, and
Danny
you couldn't
Webb.
blow back. You couldn't get the.
No.
It had to all go down and disappear, so you had to go it real
No, there were
slowly,
rules.
no
You
foam.
could get DQ'd.
Danny could always do the fastest, but he'd always
He'd
nearly
blow
cough
up.
it back, like
But
you did on that
he would
fireball
blow
shot.
up.
Yeah.
He'd go down the wrong way, right? So we could do 1.2 seconds.
No. Danny did 1.92.
He was flat out. And
Yeah, he
Darren
did.
O'Grady. It was Danny
O'Grady,
Webb and
O'Grady was a weapon. I think that was his time in the military that made him a weapon at JT's when he worked there. We forgot about O'Grady.
No.
But what I loved when you thought about it, like, because we'd wipe off all the jobs from the workshop whiteboard
we'd clean the
and
whiteboard.
then write up, like,
Times.
you know,
Times.
qualifying
Put it- who's in?
round, finals.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you're like, add all the times up. Fuck, we just drank a
And then there
carton
was,
in 45 seconds.
I think it's where
No,
this is where
literally
everyone that's
be-
listening switches off because they don't care about us drinking.
Nah.
That's
how
what I was getting
fast
back
we
to.
drunk beer in a ring of fire,
to
but it was
gossip.
so much fun.
No, we'll have to, this is all going to be
Gossett and I
redacted out.
drank a
No.
carton of beer in 15 minutes.
Well, the total combined
Shout
times,
outs
the
to
average
Gossip
time
for
was
not
like
answering his
2
phone.
seconds to drink
Yeah,
a beer.
2
so
seconds to drink a beer.
24 beers in a carton.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it-
I think on average it took us less than a minute.
Yeah.
The thing was, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that you were having knockoff drinks and you'd go home to your girlfriend or whatever and you'd rock home and you'd be
great mood.
completely written off. And she'd be like, what the fuck just happened to you?
Big
You
day
just
at
finished
work.
work and you've come home and you
And
completely...
only took 10 minutes.
Because we worked with such awesome people,
Yeah.
we had the most awesome environment, and this is what it wasn't even a job; it was just fun, and this was just
Yep.
a part of the weekly
JT
process.
cycles.
JT
And then-
cycles.
Just
And then-
terrific.
Oh, we'll bring it back into business. We'll start it back up again.
No, well, now we've got Ring of Fire.
Remember
So
young
Ring of Fire
Phil,
was the
young
beer
Phil
bomb.
from the Kiwi Phil. Remember the young
Yeah.
kid? And
Yeah.
we got him.
Filthy.
Filthy.
Oh yeah,
Filthy
Filthy
Phil.
Phil,
And we
Phil.
brought Filthy
the
Phil.
fit fucker.
He was the fit fucker.
He was
like,
like an XC,
Yeah, racer.
XC champion.
Genius.
New Zealand or
And we
something.
got
He
him
was
in.
so fit.
and then
Powerhouse.
we got him into the beer bomb. And he was like, yeah, I got this Kiwi fire. And then we did him and we were destroyed like
didn't
an
have the legs. He did have
17-year-old,
the
I think.
legs,
But
and the legs.
you know, you're talking Zoe about
Pony.
car park runs. We were doing,
Yes.
Oh,
We
yes.
do car parks in Adelaide. It's renowned for high-rise car parks. So we go and have booze cruises where you're drinking and riding your bike, which is our 2 favourite things, right? So we in
To this
between the
day.
pubs, as you're going from pub to pub, there will always be a car park on the way.
Would
So
you get
go-
dressed up, Todd?
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty
maybe.
much. Why not?
Sorry,
And you
not
want to have
get
a good
dressed
You
up?
time.
missed it. Dressing up was the third favourite
Alter
thing.
ego, yeah.
Okay.
So
Oh,
then you would
hang
jump
on.
in the elevator,
Poor
you'd go to the
place.
top,
Poor
and then
place.
you'd ride
Come back to
down the elevator, right? So usually what we would do is we would take the beer bong with us just because we could, right?
Just in case.
Because you wanted to ride and drink beers real fast. So then we developed the
Ride
Ring
fast,
of
drink
Fire. So
fast.
everyone always asks about the Ring of Fire, right? So the Ring of Fire started because Teflon finish line chain lube was really flammable. You could squirt it on the
This is a
ground
shout out Japan.
and set it
Wish I had
on
footage of
with a
that.
cigarette lighter and
I
it would
didn't
light up.
film that.
So when you were doing the beer bong in the top floor of the car park before you did your car park run, because it's all cement, like nothing can catch on fire, right? It was boring to just stand now and just do the beer bong.
You can't
Like,
just go 3,
that.
2, 1, go.
Yeah,
Nah.
and I'm going to scull a beer in 2 seconds. You had to do it in a ring of fire. So we'd use the finish line lube to do a massive circle,
Shout out to the finish
light
line.
it with a lighter, set it on fire, stand in it, do the beer
Sponsored by
bong, get a
Japan.
photo, and then do your
Fancy
run.
dress.
We should
So-
do that again. We should
Yeah, we
reenact
should.
that.
There's a Crown Plaza there now. I
Trav, you're
saw
here
that.
for a few days.
Finish
maybe.
line doesn't work anymore. I think they
I'm
did,
sponsoring the car
they
park
dulled
race
it down.
at Frome Street on Saturday night.
Oh,
So
Ring of
that's-
Fire.
So
Yeah, I
we're
don't
bringing
think
the,
they'd
what-
appreciate the Ring of Fire.
What dry lube
We're
is
not
going to
part of
work
the
in its
crew.
place now, Trav? We'll
Finish
bring it
line
along.
Japan.
Now we just use like isopropanol alcohol
Caro.
because we know that
Yeah,
shit's going to
Caro.
go up. Yeah.
We're smarter now.
So much fun as well.
We can buy it.
I'm over 50
No,
now.
I'm not kidding you. The last time I did a booze cruise, we did it with metho in a finish line bottle because we knew that shit would just light up. Because the finish line doesn't work anymore, man.
Keep experimenting.
No.
Anyways, the beer bong still works. I still got it.
Survey report. It just in. Flanderzz, I just want to do a little check on BE. Do they do this stuff now at BE?
Trigger would. He'd have half a chance. No,
Yeah,
he's
I've
not.
done some booze cruises out of
No, you can't
BE
get
with
him in
Buzz and
No,
with
I'm sure.
Andy Clark. I can drop some names here, man.
There's
We've
no
had
one
some
Well, actually, I want to
fucking
get
good
Trigger
booze
in.
cruises.
I would love to
Buzz
have
and Andy Clark
Trigger.
goes a while
I want to
ago,
get
right?
Trigger
We have,
in for a
yeah.
chat. I want to get him in here for a
Yeah,
chat. Like,
because
so
he's
Trigger,
full
if you're
old
listening,
school. Him and
Yeah,
You're
Trigger,
Sam, him and his brother.
They were all,
Yeah.
them will
Big part of
respect
the
all the ones
industry,
that went into
yes.
bike shops. They were my
Yes,
customers as kids,
yes.
and it's so good to see them where they are now.
because
I
we are a lot older now. I don't know if you guys realise it, but you guys got a lot older.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still fine.
But like I said, I'm happy I passed on all that, not just the bike maintenance, but the booze cruise and the beer bong and the circle of
Having
fire
fun.
to all those
Well, the-
younger crew.
The
I feel like
culture
I've done a good
of
job.
You've
what
done-
a good
you-
bike
yeah,
shop
I've
is all
passed it
about.
on.
You have been
Passed it on.
our man.
An ambassador.
Trying
But it
to
was
keep
wholesome.
our old original
It was
dream
wholesome.
alive.
We weren't
of just having a
damaging
good
stuff. We were
time.
not wrecking stuff. You're not trashing anything.
Oh,
You're
sometimes
just
the
having-
lino floor tiles got a bit cooked.
Yeah.
Well,
but they were okay.
the
Because
shop
of the
opening at
breakdancing.
Pulteney Street with, I think it was Russell Gallagher out the back with his,
Gagsy.
Yeah, Gagsy. I mean, Gags, with your wife now, you were having a good time. But we
I've seen Potsy try to wreck us some shit, especially in beauties from Main Street, trying to rip some plants out of plants with his
He would not have
Break
done
dance.
it.
yeah,
on
with his
plastic
with
chairs.
his ghetto blaster and his funk music.
Stop it.
That was good. That was
Yeah,
so good.
that was a loose time. That's in one of your movies.
Yeah, that was. But yeah, no, it is a little bit unfortunate. A little bit of that culture has fallen out of
Out
the
of it.
industry, and it's a
Yeah.
little bit
But it's,
sort of mainstream.
You probably can't have it because
do you
it's
mean,
2025.
There's cameras
People
everywhere.
still
everyone's
drink beer.
filming. There's like, I don't know.
Even in 2025's old
I
people
don't
do
know.
drink beer.
No, I'm not saying that, but just the
I feel that
The
kids have
innocence.
lost
Just slower.
the simple in it. Like
the art to
Like,
have a good time without.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think of all the
we had
run-amok
monkey.
things
Remember, we
did.
had monkey butt races.
No one
in
ever
the
got
workshop?
hurt. No one ever.
And we pour beer on
Well,
the floor.
No,
None of us got arrested.
No one ever got seriously
Maybe
hurt.
Trav, did you get arrested?
I think our fun
know.
was pretty innocent fun.
It was.
It was
like,
a good way to
car
have
park
innocent
runs
fun.
didn't really hurt anyone. You know, I think actually, except for Potsy's broken hand.
And I know
But
that
car
Peter
that
Davies
he-
ragged
the car
into
that
a
he-
parked car, and I don't think his wrist has ever been the same.
Peter Campagnolo jumping on. Nah,
But pretty harmless
Pretty
fun.
harmless.
Like we weren't out to wreck shit. We were. There was no.
But I don't even think that happens today. Like I don't know. I
don't
don't go
hear
to
of
a
any
downhill
kids
mountain bike race.
doing
If
car
you go to
park
the
runs.
Cannonball Run or anything like that, you race. I have no idea. But it used to be fun.
Well, the question
We'd
is,
catch
you
up
go
with
to
Granny, we'd
national
catch up
events.
with Ronning, we'd go to the Nationals, and we'd see all these people from interstate that loved doing what we did, and we just ride our bikes, and then at the end of the night, we just fucking hung out together and had so much fun.
Well, like
question
what
is,
happened at
what are the
Canberra?
after parties like?
Canberra.
Yeah,
Canberra.
These days?
that was. I remember. Well,
That was
I
the.
remember Canberra.
Can you put the voice changer on this next
Yeah,
bit?
it was. Well, I
Didn't
was.
they have the riot squad rocked up?
Witness-
comes for me.
The witness protection program.
That was after that year that Johnny Waddell won the downhill titles, and I was out there setting off fireworks in on the back of a car bike rack, and then the police came, and I actually got capsicum sprayed.
So did half of the party.
So yeah, that was
Fireworks. I think that was related back to fireworks.
back to
again.
Canberra. What's
Canberra.
Canberra known for? And fireworks, and yeah, that was a good time there.
That was the highlight of my Australian after party mountain bike.
All right, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I would love us to keep fucking talking but I think everything's
We're gonna
running
wrap
flat
this
and
up.
closed. We need to wrap this up. First of all, I'll put it out to each of you. Is there anything you'd like to say? First of all, this is opportunity for all the 4 people. Are there 3 or 4 people watching? They
Yeah.
might be listening. Let's start with you, Todd.
Oh, here we go.
And then we'll do an inspirational
You're gonna
comment
ask me what
after.
animal I wanna be
no,
again?
No,
Okay,
no.
good.
Just if
Spirit
you
animal.
have a minute.
I am an animal.
Polar bear.
I don't know.
I'm a
We'll
polar
pour another
bear.
shot.
I love a wombat because I call my
my-
kids wombats.
If you get a minute of airtime, you might inspire your kids, you might inspire a customer, you might just tell a fucking funny story to Potsy. What would you like to say before we wrap it up? There'll be another round.
I can't tell a funny story to
fireballs.
Potsy. He tells the funniest stories. You got to get him on, mate. He'll tell you some stories.
I just took Fireball.
Fuck you, Potsy.
Yeah, Potsy didn't pick up.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
crackly
because you're
phone.
selling drugs,
Yeah,
Potsy.
yeah. But
Sorry.
like any of you, would you like to thank anyone? Would you like to say anything to anyone? Mum and dad, fucking your kids. If you died tomorrow, would you like to tell anyone anything before you go?
I don't know. I'm always a big advocate of just be good at lots of stuff and try lots of stuff and meet lots of good people. Just direct you to meet lots of good people, like what happened to us. These are friends of mine that'll be friends forever. We're sitting here telling all these like stupid stories, but we'll be doing it in another 20 years and we'll have way more stupid stories to tell by then because, I mean, it slowed down a lot, but when we're in our prime, it was pretty much going. But if you can inspire your friends and people to have a good, honest fun and humour and, you know, don't take life too seriously. It can be pretty serious. Biking, I think, has led me to be like, you know, have a good, like mountain biking's pretty honest and like simple and pretty, you know, it's just so good to have. And, you know, it's just, yeah, I think it's just influenced people to go out and have a good time and they can have it on such a simple, you know, a template mountain biking. It's not too overly, you know, it doesn't have to be too technical, you know. Or we're talking about technical stuff here, but it can just be pretty basic, going out and having good fun on two wheels.
Jamie,
And that's what you want.
we're not getting too deep.
No, I think that,
Thank
again,
anyone.
because of biking, like, you know, like we said, that was a pivotal part of all of our lives for different reasons. And we all still maintain that friendship. You know, I went over and saw Potsy last weekend, haven't seen him in a while. And, you know, and that was epic to see him again. I think that, you know, what we all wanted to do in mountain bikes allows you to just kind of be true to yourself. You know, there's the way we were, there was no fat egos. There was no, even though people were racing and some people were sick riders and they were going to hose me every time, like, well, whatever, you know, there's no argument. There's just, well, that dude's faster. That's how it is. But I'm going to have a good time and he's my mate. So I think, you know, you can be true to yourself and just go out and have fun, do it for the reasons that you want to do it. And if it's someone wants to take racing seriously or someone wants to not take racing seriously, it doesn't matter. You can all go and enjoy the same thing together.
Yeah.
Travi,
Oh, final words. Well, yeah, I
Keeping this short.
thank you.
okay.
All right, that's it. That's a wrap. No.
No, I think I totally agree, 100%. I think it's I'm always about on the bike, but also off the bike. I'm a big. I like to be a bit of a cultural leader to like get people off the bike and create that more than what is the bike, because it is a community and we are part of a community. And I've got friendships with Flanderzz that span all my milestones of birthdays, which is amazing. And I think about some of the other relationships we've all had, and I think it's a bond we all love to be a part of. And I think the whole part of mountain biking is that access to just, you know, freedom and just immersion into that space that we all love to feel, you know, what's the flow state. And you like to bring that into the other people that you come in connection with. That when you get that flow state, whether it's teaching a kid and you understand to teach a child, to push that boundary, to take them a little bit further, to move into that flow state is that ultimate state. And we've all been there and we all know it. And that's what we love about it. And I think that's what the part of cycling for me as a whole, whether mountain and whatever else there is involved, but I love that part to take people out there and be excited about that. And I think for me, when I get people into that and I take them out there for the first time, and sure, I'm a bit crazy going down a downhill, I go fast, whether it's on a road bike or mountain bike, it's like, yeah, but this is the part of what's really adrenaline rush and fun.
The focus.
And the focus, exactly. And then off that is like, well, hey, we can all talk about it. I'm not out there trying to be the best or whatever. I'm just out there to go, hey, what did you feel about that? You know, how did you translate that into what you felt? And that's the thing that gets me up every day.
There's
Bring that
nothing
into
better than following your mates down trails, and we've all done it. We love riding together. When you see your mate like slap a turn
totally.
or hit some jump, and you are hooting for them. That is what it's about.
Pushing them along.
Push them along. I remember to the day when Flanderzz and
Commentating
I and
when
Gabe,
you're behind, tail gunning, commentating.
and we went riding in Whistler, and it was the first time for me in Whistler, and I had Watson's bike. Watson was off-road racing at Red Bull, and I'm like, helmet, Watson's pass, and then we got open to the black run, and the black ice had just been cleared, and Sterling Lawrence was there doing photos, and I'm following us all down, and we hit up with a couple of A-grade riders that were there, and I'm like going, I'm way out of my league, man. Like, we're just following them down this run. I'm going, I'm in the flow state. It was so much fun. But I can remember to that moment, I got jeans, a black hoodie on,
Picture
my
that.
Giro switchblade, and I'm going down this hill. I'm riding Watson's bike, and it was nothing better.
To this day.
To this day, I can still
See
remember
it.
vividly that moment because it was so much fun.
I've got a couple of memories of downhilling in my jeans in Whistler as well.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's have one last shot.
Ooh.
One last
cheers.
shot. One last cheers.
Right.
I'm going to give you all the opportunity to say your fucking last inspirational word.
Did we just do that?
Off the brakes.
No.
Flanders, you got one
No.
more.
You
Yeah,
got
off
one
the
more.
brakes.
Now you've had a chance to think about it. Someone's having a bad day.
Hang
It
on.
might have been you once upon a time.
Yeah.
How do you look forward to tomorrow when today isn't that great?
Here we go.
Anyone.
Let's go and
I'm
call
going. Tomorrow is another day. Reset, turn, and have another go.
Keep it simple. Trav?
Mate, I'm grateful for every moment I'm alive, and I think for tomorrow, if I'm alive and I'm moving, well, then I'm going to take it the best way I can, and I'm going to make the most out of it. That's the way I take it, whether you're old, young, or ugly, in a wheelchair or whatever. I think you just got to grapple every moment you've got and make the most of it.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. You just be like, it's not a big deal, man. You're lucky to have been given a shot in the first place at this circus of a roller coaster. It's a good time.
And you have some awesome friends like you boys,
To share it with.
you and me, to share these memories all this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zol. You're the one that's
Zoltan,
ending
bring it back.
Cheers, all.
Cheers. Bringing it back.
Zol.
Bringing it back. Bringing it back.
Oh, I can't wait to see the footage and photos over the top of this.
Jesus.
As long as you're in
Can you put some out with a? Can we change the rating for that last bit?
I'd love to change the rating.
I don't know how it works. I just push buttons.
You do.
I just push the buttons. I don't know.
You're an evil man. Zoltan Borbasi I.
All right, that's a wrap.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, I should have recorded that bit.